Hey guys, how are you all? Welcome back to my channel. Today we will see, what if Fem Naruto lost both her mother and father and became the Jinchuuriki for the nine-tailed fox? If you enjoy then please like, share and do comments. 5 years have passed since the Kyuubi's attack on the Hidden Leaf Village, and with that attack that took a lot of people their lives in the fight against the demon fox. Not too long after everything got back to normal did the Grand Council of the village announce to everyone that the Kyuubi was sealed inside Naruto against Hirazen's direct orders. After the revealing of Naruto's status of being the Kyuubi's did the third Hokage ordered the people of the village to never tell the girl about what was sealed inside her. After the discovery the villagers started hating the girl and started treating her like a total outcast every time they saw her. The blonde-haired little girl is hurt and confused by the harsh treatment of her fellow villagers. She wants to understand what she did that was so wrong to bring forth this much hate-filled glares towards her along with cruel and unforgiving names. Names like monster, freak, demon child, brat etc. The kind of names that leave scars on her heart. Naruto tries to show the villagers their words and actions don't affect her by forcing a smile on her face to show them she's strong and that she's oblivious to them. That fake smile works on some people and they take Naruto for a fool. There is a select few of people that are not tricked by her fake smile, for they are the few that have seen her real smile. Those few people were Lady Kaide, Old Man Hokage, Dog, Cat, and Iruka-sensei. These people meant the world to Naruto because they're the ones who treated her like she was a somebody and not a freak like everybody else in the village. They're the ones who helped pull her out of her darkness and loneliness with their love. Thinking about all her special people brought a smile to her tan and whiskered face. Lady Kaide was like her grandmother and has been the one to take care of her entire life. She also like her sensei since she has been showing her some of her medical ninjutsu techniques along with how to make medicine out of the different herbs located around the village. A funny fact people don't know about her is that she taught Lady Tsunade how to be a medical ninja. Kaide even told Naruto she had the potential to be just as good as her someday as long she kept practicing. Naruto's smile grew bigger thinking about her grandmother. She really loved her and was grateful for all the things she does for her. One of her next favorite person was Old Man Hokage, or as she liked to call him Grandpa, because he like Lady Kaide treated her like a granddaughter. When he's not too busy with work he takes her shopping, he even takes her out to get her favorite food in the world, ramen. Another thing she loves about her grandpa is that he lets her stay with him in his office when her grandma is called to the hospital to help with patients who are in critical conditions. Yay, her grandma just that good. Another few of her special people are Dog and Cat. Those two are her Anbu guards given to her by grandpa to protect her from the villagers who might and try to hurt her if she wasn't careful. Thoughts sometimes she gets into trouble anyway because they get sent away on really dangerous missions because of their rankings. When that happens she gets new Anbu guards, but they don't like her so she gets hurt, and when they get back they're mad and punish the guards who failed to protect her. The reason they do that is because they see Naruto as their little sister and anyone tries to hurt her while they're around better have good insurance. Whenever they're around they teach her the principles of being a ninja of Konoha, and they even teach her some of their fighting techniques, which is a lot of fun. But what makes it really special for Naruto is the fact she's spending time with her older siblings. Now for one of the really special person Naruto admires is Iruka-sensei. To Naruto, Iruka is her ideal father figure in her life. Iruka treats her to dinner whenever everyone is busy with work. He plays with her in the park near the academy where he works, and when she's tried he takes her home and puts her to bed while kissing her good night and reading her a story. The circumstances on how Iruka came into Naruto's life was not moment most people would like, but to Naruto she wouldn't change a thing of that day for the world. It led to her finding another person to accept her for who she was and for her to find someone to treat her like she was his own daughter. With the thoughts of her father figure in her head, Naruto slips in her memories of the first time she met Iruka. The story will now be told in Naruto's POV and will be told through a flashback sequence. That day started out like every other day to me. I woke up, got dressed in a bright orange t-shirt and put on a pair of blue shorts. I then put on my ninja sandals Grandpa just got me. After getting dressed I ate breakfast and told Grandma bye while heading off to the Hokage Tower to see the Grandpa. As I walked to the tower I received the usual hateful glances from the villagers, typical. Yep, just another ordinary day in my life I think, as I continued my way to the Hokage Tower and then to the Grandpa's office. I walked in to greet him with my usual hug and ask him if there was anything I could do to help him. He smiles at me and tells me I can help him by putting away finished documents in the filing cabinet after he finished sorting through them. When we're finished with all the paperwork, he offered to take me to get something to eat at Ichiraku Ramen Bar, which made me extremely happy. We walked into the ramen stand where we were greeted by the owners with smiles on their faces and were severed with what I like to call heaven in a bowl. After dinner I told the owners and grandpa bye and took off to the cabin home I shared with my grandmother. On the way home I heard a cry for help and went to see what was wrong. As I rounded the corner I saw a group of 3 men beating up a woman in her late 20s trying to strip off her clothing. Seeing this horrible scene made me to cry out in shock, which earned me the attention of the disgusting men. They had this weird look in their eyes that caused a cold shiver to go up my spine, and at that moment I knew something bad was going to happen. "Looky here boys, we got ourselves a young one to play with," said the ringleader. At least I assumed he was, since the other 2 looked like his followers. "Hey boss, do you think she's a screamer like this one?" snickered the man closest to the women on the ground. "Don't know, let's find out and see." "Get her," ordered the ringleader. With the order given the men came after me, but I ran away as fast as I could out of the alleyway and made my way towards the woods, thinking I could lose them there. I was able to get about maybe 15 feet into the woods before I tripped on a rock and tumbled off a little cliff into a small clearing. After recovering from my fall I tried to get back up and make another break for it, only to fall back down because my left ankle was twisted and hurt like crazy, and at that point it was already starting to swell. As I tried to get back up again I was too late, the men had already caught me. "Got you now, you little bitch," spat the ringleader as he pulled me up by my hair to his face, where I smelled the foul stench of alcohol on his breath. As I tried to squirm my way out of his grasp I saw the men's eyes changed from their previous glazed look to a more readable look for her. The look of hatred. "Boss, that's the demon brat," one of the men in the group stated. "I can see that, dumbass, I'm not blind. Just because she's the demon brat doesn't mean we still can't have some fun with her," the ringleader sneered, causing the other men to chuckle evilly. With plan they decided, the man who held me threw me to the ground, kicking and stomping on my petite body, with his men joining him, throwing in their own punches and kicks at me. As the assault continued, the harder the attacks came, and soon it caused me to start coughing up the blood that filled my mouth from busted lip. At the moment the only thing I could think about doing to protect myself from this vicious beating was to huddle into a ball to defend myself, hoping it would soon. Just when I was on the brink of unconsciousness I heard a voice shouting in the distance telling the men to stop. When the guys who were beating me heard the screaming voice they got scared and ran off, leaving me broken and beaten on the ground. It hurt to move anything after the men left, and as I laid there I heard the footsteps, the person who scared them away walking over to me. I tried to see who it was, but it hurt too much to move, so I just kept my head down and waited for this person to finish me off, believing they were just like everyone else in the village. As I waited for the person to come over I heard the person gasp in shock, probably because he saw who he saved from those men and regretted saving the monster of the village, I thought sadly, making my heart ache more than the pain I felt from the beating I just endured. As the stranger finally stood beside my battered form I was confused by what they did. The man picked me up gently into his arms and started to carry me out of the woods. What's going on? Doesn't this guy know who I am? I asked myself. Wonder where he's taking me. Well, might as well ask. Excuse me. But where are you taking me? I asked, stuttering out in a low raspy voice. The hospital. You need to get these wounds looked at before they get infected, the man told me. Why are you helping me? I asked, totally confused by the man's act of kindness. That's a stupid thing to ask. You're hurt, and what those men did to you is unforgivable. I mean, for them to beat a child to this extent is downright unforgivable, he tells me. Don't you hate me like everybody else in the village? I ask. I saw the man tense up at my question as emotions passed through his eyes before he relaxed again and held me closer in a more protective manner. No, I don't hate you. Listen, the people of this village are nothing but a bunch of blind fools who don't see that you are just a little girl and that it wasn't your fault for the things that have happened to you. You were just at the wrong place at the wrong time, he tells me. Do you know why the village hates me? I ask. Yes, I do, but I can't tell you what it is that makes the people hate you, just that it's not your fault, and that shouldn't let the people of this village bother you. You are your own person, and someday I hope everyone will that, he tells me while giving me a warm smile that showed off his kind brown eyes. The man as I came see was around his late teens with a scar running across the top of his nose with his brown hair up in a ponytail. "You are a very nice person, mister," I tell him with a smile on my bruised face, snuggling deeper into his arms, finally starting to feel safe in his warm embrace. "Thank you, but you can call me Haruka if you like." "What's your name?" he asked. "My name's Naruko Uzumaki," I tell him. "Well, Naruko, it's very nice to meet you," he tells me. "Likewise, Haruka-sensei," I say when I see his Chunin uniform. "Now come on, let's get you to the hospital," he said. "I know your grandmother and grandfather are worried sick about you." "That's right, Grandma expected me home hours ago. I hope she's not mad at me," I say in a low voice. "Lady Kaide is not mad at you, just worried," Haruka-sensei replied. When we got out of the forest we ran into Dog and Cat, who looked physically sick when they saw my bloody and bruised body. "Oh my god, what happened to you, Naruko?" Cat cried, she running over to me, gently lifting me of Haruka's arms. "I was attacked by a couple of men on my way home," I tell her. "Come on, I'm taking you to the hospital right now," Cat stated, taking off in the direction of the hospital, leaving Dog and Haruka-sensei behind. When Cat landed in front of the hospital, Grandma was already outside waiting for us and came running over to us, breaking out into tears once she saw my battered body. "Dear God, how could this have happened to you?" cried my grandmother as she wrapped me into her arms and rushed me inside. She then took me to an examination room where she checked me over and then started treating my wounds. That night will forever haunt me, but I had my family to take care of me, so it got better over time, but thanks to the attack I met Haruka-sensei, and that to me makes the whole thing worth it. End of flashback. That night was over a year ago, but it still haunts her, but she refuses to let the night take over her life. She just stays focused on her studies and doesn't think about it much anymore, just on some occasions. Being so lost in thought, Naruko didn't notice she bumped into someone until she hit the ground. Looking up, about to apologize to the person she bumped into, she got hit over the head with a broom. "You damn monster, get out of here now," screamed the man she ran into. Naruko tried to get up when he started to hitting her with the broom, preventing her from getting up. The commotion the man started caused a group of people to surround them. "What's going on here?" asked a man from the group of people around them. "This brat here tried to steal from my store," accused the man, looking outraged. This caused the people around them to glare at Naruko because they believed the man and his bogus lie. The outrageous lie caused Naruko's blood to boil in rage for being called a theft. "That's a lie. I was not stealing anything from him. I was just walking by when this jackass hit me with his broom," she screamed, pointing an accusing finger at the man. The people looked outraged that Naruko had called a member of the village a liar and decided to punish her by beating her up. She tried to break free of their attacks, and when she did, she ran away as fast as she could. Naruko started dashing through the streets of village, trying to outrun the angry mob behind her. Looking around frantically for an escape route, she saw an alleyway and dashed down it, but soon found out it was a dead end. She started to panic, trying to find another escape route through her blood-filled eyes, and soon caught sight of a low-hanging leader and started climbing up it. When she was up the leader, she pulled it up and hid in the shadows of the wall. The angry mob entered the alleyway and started looking around for her, and when they couldn't find her, they gave up and started looking elsewhere. When she thought the coast was clear, she climbed to the top of the building and climbed onto the roof. "Man, that was so close, they almost got me," Naruko say out loud, breathing a sigh of relief. "I'll say," says a voice from nowhere. "Ah!" Naruko screamed. "Will you shut up already?" shouted the unknown voice. "Geez, you're so troublesome. All that screaming is giving me a headache." "Sorry, you just surprised me is all," she said sheepishly as she regained her composure after her little fright. "Whatever. Hey, are you alright? That gash on your head looks pretty nasty. Doesn't it hurt?" the stranger asked. Naruko gently touched the wound on her head, wincing a little bit from the sting it gave her. "It does a little bit, but it won't hurt for long. I'm a fast healer," she tells him after figuring out the stranger was a boy. "Here, let me help you get the blood off your face. That way you can see better," he says, kneeling down beside her. Oh. Okay." Naruko stuttered, not expecting the boy to be so nice to her, and was a little caught off guard when he started whipping the blood off of her face. "Ow," she hissed as the stinging pain flared up when the rag touched the open gash on her head. "Sorry, but just bear with the pain a little longer, I'm almost done. Close your eye for a minute so I can get the rest of the blood off," he tells me as he continued to rub the blood off. If you don't mind me asking, how did you get this gash in your head anyway? Naruko started to look nervous, not wanting to be beaten again by telling him the truth, so she didn't. I fell, she said, feeling like an idiot for telling such an obvious lie like that, which made her more nervous, which made her fiddled with the end of her shirt subconsciously. It's alright, you don't have to tell me, just don't lie to me. I don't like liars, they're too troublesome to be around, he tells her, moving the rag back up her head to stop the wound from bleeding again. Naruko looked at her feet shamefully, feeling like a scolded little girl for being caught lying. How could you tell? Well, for starters, you used the lamest excuse in the books, but it's also because you were fidgeting a lot and you were playing with your shirt subconsciously, he explained, removing the rag to find the wound was healed and no longer bleeding. I guess you really are a fast healer. A nervous laugh escaped from her, along with an amused one hearing the boy's explanation, and scratched her head in embarrassment. I guess Grandma was right, I'm a horrible liar, huh? The boy gave a small chuckle. Yeah, you really are. So are you going to tell me what really happened, or are you going to leave to guess what happened for myself? If you choose the last opinion, that'll be a real troublesome pain, you know, he tells her. Naruko gave him a small smile and giggled before her smile turned sad. You won't believe me if I told you. Nobody ever believes me when I tell them the truth. Well, I'm not everybody. I'm me, so I'll be the judge of whether you're lying to me or not. So tell me what happened and maybe I can help, the boy said, removing the rag from her face to take a sit beside her against the brick wall. Naruko blinked open her eyes after the blood was removed from her face and looked over at the boy. He was about her age, maybe a few months older than her. Taking in his appearance, she let a small giggle escape her when she saw his hair up in a ponytail that made it look like a big pineapple was on his head. What are you giggling at? He asked her. She points at him. Your hair looks like a giant pineapple, she tells him, still giggling. He looks up at his hair before a smile appears on his face. This sends a nice warm feeling through Naruko, while also bringing a small shade of pink to her cheeks as he started laughing. What's so funny, pineapple head? Naruko asked, thinking he was laughing at her, which made her blush harder. That's the same exact thing my mom said to my dad when they first met, so it's a little funny to me to hear someone else say that besides my mother, he tells her. Naruko gave him a funny look even though she was still smiling. You're a little strange, weird pineapple head. I like strange, she says teasingly. Will you quit calling me pineapple head, blue eyes? I have a name, you know, he tells her. Naruko gave him a cheeky grin. Well, tell me what your name is, that way I quit calling you pineapple head, she stated, crossing her arms over her chest with a good-natured smile on her face. Man, you're just as troublesome as my mother, he mumbled. The name's Shikamaru and you would be Naruko. Naruko Uzumaki, and it's very nice to meet you, Shikamaru, she tells him, sticking her hand out to him to complete their greeting. Yeah, likewise Naruko, he says, taking her smaller hand in his, returning the handshake. So Naruko, you ready to tell me what happened to you and why your head was bashed open? Do you promise not to beat me up after I tell you? She asked, still wary about him believing her or not. I already told I'll judge what you tell me when you tell me, but I can already tell you wouldn't lie about this, so I will most likely will believe you, and if I didn't believe you I wouldn't hurt you, Shikamaru tells her, seriously looking into her blue eyes before he gave her a soft smile. Naruko felt comforted by his words, like she could trust him, so she began to tell him her story. Okay, what happened was this. I was walking down the street on my way to visit my grandpa when I got lost in thought and I bumped into someone. I was going to apologize to the person, but before I could say anything he started beating me up with a broom. Shikamaru decided to interrupt her at this point to ask a question. Why would he just hit you for no reason like that? I don't know, but for some reason a lot of people in the village hate me. To be honest, I have no idea what I did to make them all so mad at me, she tells him. Man, that sounds like such a drag, but continue with your story, he tells her. Well, after the man started beating me with the broom, a group of people started gathering around us asking what was going on. The man told them that I tried to steal from his store and the people believed him, so when I tried to protect my honor by calling the man a liar, but all that did was make the people angry. The people started attacking me, just like the man with the broom. After a while I was able to get away from them and made a run for it, until I ran into the alley down there and got myself cornered. I started panicking until I saw the leader hanging down and decided to climb up it and hide from the mob in the shadows of the wall. I stayed there until the mob was gone. That's when I climbed to the top of this building where I met you, Naruto says, finishing her long story. Wow, that's horrible. Why would anyone just randomly attack you just like that? God, it sounds like you have a very tough life, he tells her, feeling very bad for her. It's hard at times, but hey, it's my life, what can I do? You're lucky you don't have to fear walking down the street afraid someone going to hit you upside the head or getting chased down by angry mob, Naruto commented. No thanks, that would be too troublesome for me, he tells her while yawning. Naruto started laughing, finding Shikamaru's dry humor very funny. Shikamaru felt a little proud he was making her smile and laugh. Naruto, who's your grandpa? You mentioned him in your story, Shikamaru asked. Oh god, that's right. I have to meet grandpa soon or he's going to send cat and dog out to find me, Naruto cried out in panic, jumping to her feet. Who's cat and dog? Shikamaru asked, getting to his feet at a slower pace than the blonde-haired girl. They're my older brother and sister, but also my Anbu guards, she tells him. You have Anbu guards? Wait, who exactly is your grandfather? He asked. Haha, yay, grandpa put them on me to keep me safe from the villagers, but today they had a mission so they couldn't pick me up. I think they're home now, and if they are, oh man, they're going to be so mad and worried about me, Naruto tells him, feeling panic take over her before she registered his last question. Oh, he's the third Hokage. Shikamaru staggered over, not expecting to get that answer. You got to be kidding me. Your grandfather is the third Hokage and people are still stupid enough to attack you. How stupid are those people? Naruto felt herself smiling again from his kind words. Well, I'm his adopted granddaughter, but I still love like he really was my grandfather, she tells him. Well, blood doesn't determine family if you ask me. Besides, it's kind of cool to be friends with the third Hokage's adopted granddaughter, Shikamaru tells her, scratching his cheek, looking up at the sky, pondering the thought of being her friend, hoping it won't become troublesome in the future. Naruto felt like the roof fell beneath her feet, looking like she was floating on cloud 9, possibly looking like an idiot to him the way she was grinning at him. Friends? She asked, feeling like she needed to hear it again to make it sure it was real and not a trick her ears were playing on her. Well duh, we're friends now, right? Unless you don't want to be my friend? He asked, feeling maybe he was out of his league asking to be the Hokage's granddaughter friend. Naruto couldn't stop herself, she was just overcome with joy that she just launched herself, tackling Shikamaru into a huge hug that knocked them to the ground as she squeezed the life out of the poor guy. Shikamaru was caught off guard by Naruto tackling him that when he hit the ground he let out a soft, pained groan. Hey, what's with the hugging and the tackling? He said with a tone of embarrassment with a light blush on his face. I never had a real friend before, so I'm happy, really happy, she says softly, feeling very happy as she snuggled into him. Shikamaru still felt embarrassed by being hugged by Naruto, but he was actually really happy he made her happy. Well, you do now, but could you get off me now? Naruto giggled happily as she got off him and helped him up, still smiling like a loon at having a real friend. Shikamaru just shook his head, finding her amusing as he takes her hand and pulls her towards the exit located on the roof. Where are you taking me? She asked. I'm taking you to your grandpa before he does send those Anbu guards of yours and they catch me with you and think I kidnapped you and decided to attack me. Now that would be really troublesome, he tells her with a small lopsided smile on his face. You don't have to take me. I know how to get there by myself, she mumbled, trying to hide her blush from him. Why do I always blush when he smiles at me? I know, but I don't want you to get attacked again, and nobody would dare attack you if you're seen with a clan heir, he tells her. You're a clan heir. Which clan? She asked. The Nara clan, he says. That's so cool, you're so lucky, she said with her eyes lighting up with delight. How so? He questioned. Because you got some of the best books for medicine and healing jutsu, and you guys know how to use the shadow possession jutsu. To me that's way cooler than that stupid old Sharingan everyone talks about, she tells him. Just don't say that around my dad's best friend's daughter. She'll murder you if you say anything bad about an Uchiha, he tells her, giving her his lopsided smile. Why's that? She asked. Because she's madly in love with this boy in our class named Sasuke Uchiha, he tells her. Who? Right then Shikamaru felt like thanking the gods above for making a girl with a brain. Finally a girl who's not in love with that arrogant prick, he cheered, catching Naruto off guard with his outburst. What was that for? She asked. Sorry, it's just that all the girls in school are in love with him and I have no idea why, he tells her sheepishly. So this Sasuke guy has a bunch of fangirls, I guess, she stated. You got no idea, he said exasperatedly. Hearing that can almost make you feel sorry for the guy. I don't even know who he is and I feel bad for him, she said, having a concerned look on her face. Trust me, once you meet him you'll think he deserves it, he tells her, meaning every bit of it. Why would you say that? She asked, seeing the serious look on his face. Because he's an arrogant prick who thinks he's all that when he's not, he tells her. He also thinks everyone needs to do what he says all the time. It gets on my nerves. The troublesome prick, he grumbled. Oh come on, he couldn't be that bad, could he? She asked. Trust me, he is, but he is from the Uchiha clan and they all can be a bit arrogant, he stated. After the two new friends continued on their way to the Hokage Tower until they came across two people wearing a dog and cat mask standing in front of the tower, emitting a killing intent so powerful it would make anyone piss their pants in a 500-mile radius. Feeling the intent to kill from where he stood, Shikamaru admitted to himself he was definitely freaked out by his new friend's siblings. I'm guessing those guys would be your older siblings? He asked, sounding a little bit afraid of them. Naruko gave him a sheepish smile, scratching the back of her head, giving him a nervous chuckle. Ahaha, yep, that's my Ni-chan and Ne-san. As Naruko confirmed the two intimidating duo as her older sibling said duo approached them and towered over Shikamaru, giving a hard stare through their masks that made him shake in his shoes. Oh Kami, I'm going to die. Shikamaru thought, sweating bullets from the intense stares he was getting, especially the stares from Naruko's older brother. Hi, Ni-chan. Ne-san, glad to see you're both home, Naruko said sweetly, hoping to lessen their stern glares on Shikamaru. Also, this is my new friend Shikamaru. He's really nice. I see, and just what were you doing that made you so late to your meeting with your grandfather, young lady? Dog demanded, leaning over Shikamaru, not liking the boy simply for the fact he was alone with his precious little sister. If he hurts her, I'm ripping him to pieces. I kind of got into another mob beating. Nothing too serious this time, just a head injury, but it's healed already, Naruko tells them casually, not wanting to make a big deal about it. Even the other three around her did find it to be a big deal. How can you say that so casually, like it's not big deal? Shikamaru inquired, not wanting his new friend to think it was okay for her to get beaten. Well, it's not really something to worry about. I mean, I'm a fast healer, so there never really any permanent damage, she said, feeling sheepish again from how much concern Shikamaru was showing her. Shikamaru didn't like that answer, so he decided to do something about it, even if it was a drag to do. Well, it won't happen again as long as I'm around. From now on I'll escort you wherever you want to go, that way you won't be alone to get attacked. Ah, he's so sweet, Kat squealed in her bubbly voice, groping the poor boy into a hug, crushing him into her busty bust. Ne-san, let him go. You might scare him away with your hugs of doom. Naruko whined, not liking the fact her sister was stealing Shikamaru from her. Dog, finding the encounter amusing, decided it was time to end it. Cat, that's enough, let him down. It's time we saw your grandfather anyway. He's been worrying about you, he said, watching his partner let the boy go, snickering at the boy's red face as he turned and led the group into the tower. The four proceeded to walk up to Hokage's study room. Once gaining entrance to the room, they walked in to see him at his desk working on his mountainous stack of paperwork. Seriously, how can any normal human being be so cruel and make someone do all this paperwork every damn day? I'm telling you, they got to be some really evil bastards to do this, or they just enjoy this for the hell of it. I see you have found my granddaughter, Hiruzen says without lifting his head up from his paperwork. Yes sir, we have her with us along with her new friend, Dog reported, knowing the Hokage would be surprised with the last detail. Surprised he was. At the mention of a friend, Hiruzen lifted his head from his paperwork to see Shikamaru standing next to Naruko. He seemed to be looking around the office. Feeling Hiruzen gaze on them, Naruko gently nudged him in his ribs to make him look up at her grandpa. Hello Hokage-sama, it's an honor to meet you sir, Shikamaru stuttered out, feeling overwhelmed to be in his Hokage's presence. Hello my boy. It warms my heart greatly to see my granddaughter has made a friend, Hiruzen said sincerely, giving Shikamaru his usual warm smile. Naruko, I glad you made a new friend, but you had me worried about you when you didn't show up on time, he tells her worriedly. Sorry grandpa, but I kind of ran into some trouble on my way here, she tells him, knowing he wasn't going to like the news she had to tell him. Trouble? What kind of trouble? He asked, losing his friendly aura at the mention of trouble. I kind of got into another mob beating, she tells him say with her head bowed not looking at him as she played with her shirt. Damn it, that is the 12th beating this month, he says under his breath, banging his hands on the desk, scatting the paperwork everywhere. Don't worry grandpa, I'm fine thanks to Shikamaru. He helped me after the beating and protected me on the way here, she tells him, hoping to calm him down. Hearing that did allow Hiruzen to calm down a little bit. Once he was calmed down, he gave Shikamaru a thankful smile. Thank you for helping my granddaughter, he tells him, gaining back some of his friendly aura. No problem sir, it's very troublesome, but I told Naruko that I can be her escort from now on as a way of protecting her, Shikamaru said in a lazy voice. You really meant that, Shikamaru? Naruko asked him in disbelief, thinking he was joking about that. I know it'll be a drag, but I don't really mind it if it means keeping you safe, he tells her, knowing she needed to hear it again. Shikamaru hoped by spending more time with her she will be more open to believe in him and start to trusting in him. Hiruzen smiled, seeing the smile blossoming on his granddaughter's face, knowing she was becoming attached to the Nara boy. Then it's settled. Shikamaru, from now on I'm entrusting you to be my granddaughter's escort when cat and dog cannot be with her. Yes sir, Shikamaru said, accepting his new role somewhat proudly. With this new friendship born between a chance encounter, a great story was awaiting this unlikely duo in the future, but as for now Naruko was just happy to have a friend. It has been a couple of months now since Naruko had met Shikamaru. In those few months they have become better friends and have learned a lot about each other. Naruko learned that Shikamaru looks and acts like his father through his many stories since she has not officially met his parents. She also learned that he loves to watch clouds, play shogi and take long naps. There was a time Shikamaru tried to teach her on several accounts how to play shogi, but the lessons he gave her just ended up hurting her head. Naruko wasn't very good at remembering all the rules and strategies of the game. Over the few months her big brother and sister have started to really like Shikamaru because he kept his word of protecting her from the villagers and he makes her very happy. Grandma Kaide also seems to like him too because he spends time with Naruko and takes her places she usually can't go because she has no one to take her there. The only thing she disapproves of with Shikamaru is his lack of energy to do a lot of things, but she likes him all the more because he makes Naruko happy and makes her feel like a normal kid for once in her life. Right now Naruko and Shikamaru are laying down in a meadow watching the clouds in a comfortable silence, looking up into the bright blue sky. The two didn't say anything to each other, but in these moments they never did, but today Shikamaru decided to break that cycle to ask Naruko a question. Hey Blue Eyes, I was wondering, do you want to come over to my house tonight to meet my parents and to eat dinner and maybe even stay the night? He asked. Are you sure that's a good idea, Shika? I mean, won't your parents be mad to have me over? Won't they hate me like the other villagers? She asked him, feeling uncertain about the idea and afraid his parents will tell him to stay away from her. Shikamaru gave a small sigh under his breath. He knew Naruko would be afraid of his parents, thinking they would be just like the other villagers who have mistreated her. Blue Eyes, I promise you have nothing to worry about. My parents are nothing like the villagers, and besides they're the ones who wanted me to invite you over. Naruko looked surprised by that news. Really? Your parents want me over? She asked. Yay. They were saying something about wanting to meet the person who's been getting me out of the house for the past few months and said they're dying to meet you. To be honest, it sounds like a troublesome event, but I would really like for you to meet them, he tells her. Okay, but I have to ask Grandma and make sure it's okay with her first, she tells him, feeling excited about the meeting. Great, let's go see her now and get her permission, that way we can get your stuff ready afterwards, he said, getting up and offering her his hand to help her stand up. Taking his hand in her small ones, he brought her to her feet, but as she got up she tripped and fell straight on top of him. Their faces were almost touching with only an inch of space between their lips. Their faces turned bright shades of red out of total embarrassment. Naruko jumped off of him as fast as she could and turned her head away from him, trying to get the color of her face back to its normal color. Naruko snuck a glance at Shikamaru, still red in the face, to see he too was still red as well, looking up into the clouds to find his face. The silence between them drew on for a while until Shikamaru broke the silence. We should get going, he says to her without turning to face her as he began to walk away. Okay, she tells him, looking down at her feet as she followed after him. Making their way to the hospital where her grandmother worked, the duo was stuck in a very awkward silence. On the trip the villagers did their usual routine of insulting and glaring at Naruko as they passed, but made no move to attack her because Shikamaru was by her side, still there to protect her even after their awkward encounter a few minutes ago. The duo finally made it to the hospital, where they asked the front desk lady if they could see her grandma. She told them that her grandma was in surgery and that it would be a while before she was out. She then told them to wait for her in the waiting room. They walked over to the waiting room and found seats still not talking to each other after their little encounter. The silence was killing Naruko because she was never one to be quiet for so long, so she decided to end it. Shikamaru, about earlier I wanted to say I'm sorry for falling on you. She tells him with her face tinted a light shade of pink. Don't worry about it. It wasn't your fault, so you don't have to apologize about it, he tells her, still not meeting her gaze. Naruko felt like she wanted to cry from the way Shikamaru was giving her the cold shoulder. Then why won't you talk to me or look at me? She asked him sorrowfully. Shikamaru glanced at her from the corner of his eye. He saw the hurt expression on her face and felt like a complete jerk for making her feel like that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean for it to seem that way, it was just a troublesome situation that I didn't want to mess with it, he says, turning towards her, meeting her gaze at last. So you're not mad at me? She asked. Not at all, just a little embarrassed. I didn't mean to make you feel like I was mad at you, blue eyes, he confessed, scratching at his cheek. Naruko beamed a smile at him as she pulls him into a hug. I'm so glad. I thought you weren't going to be my friend anymore. Shikamaru was a little surprised by the sudden hug, but let it slide as he pulled her into a stronger hug. Yay, like I ever stop being your friend, he tells her sincerely, which only made her smile bigger. The two of them starting talking about what they were going to do at Shikamaru's house as they waited for her grandma to finish up her work. It took about 2 hours before her grandma was finished with the surgery and approached them. Hi kids, what can I do for you? Grandma Kaide asked, giving them both a huge hug. Grandma, I was wondering if it was okay for me to stay at Shikamaru's house tonight, Naruko asked. Well, I see no problem with it as long as it was okay with Shikamaru's parents, that is, she tells them. Don't worry Kaide-sama, it was actual my parents' idea to invite her over tonight, Shikamaru tells her. Okay then, well, have fun tonight dear, Kaide tells Naruko, giving them both goodbye hugs before they left the hospital. Leaving the hospital, Naruko grabs Shikamaru's hand, taking off to her and her grandmother's cabin. With Naruko's quick pace, the duo made it to her house in no time. Once they were inside, Naruko went to her room, grabbing her fox-shaped bag to put her night clothes with another outfit for tomorrow. Once she finished packing, she went back into the living room to get Shikamaru so they could leave, but found out he dozed off while she was getting her things. Really Shika, I'm gone for maybe 3 minutes and you decide to take a nap. Geez man, you just too lazy to be a kid, she teased, poking at his cheeks, hoping to get him up. Shikamaru scrunched up his nose, a little irritated at her poking, and gently swats at her hand. Blue eyes, cut it out, I'm tired, he mumbles to her. Naruko just giggles at him as she sticks her tongue out at him playfully. Too bad Shika, but we can go now, I'm finished packing, she tells him, showing him her fully packed sleeping bag. Fine then, we can go, he sighs, getting up to stretch out the knots in his back. Shikamaru then leads his blonde-haired friend to his family compound. Once there, Naruko gawked in amazement at the size of the place. Dang Shika, your house is huge, she exclaimed excitedly as looked the compound up and down. If you think this is big, you should see the other clan's compounds, but I like it here nonetheless, he tells her. Come on, I have to introduce you to my parents. Shikamaru then leads her to the main compound, where she admires the beautiful gardens within the facility and the peaceful ponds in the middle of the gardens. They soon reach the front of the house where Shikamaru and his parents stay. Mom, Dad, I'm home and my friend's grandma said she could stay, Shikamaru announced as they entered the house. That's wonderful dear. I hope you two are hungry, I just got finished making dinner, came a female voice from another room. Shikamaru, bring her to the living room so we can meet her, said a man in a stoic voice. Naruko became a little nervous about finally coming face to face with Shikamaru's parents for the first time and was considering to leave now. Somehow sensing her doubt, Shikamaru grabbed her hand, giving it a reassuring squeeze before leading her into the living room. Upon entering the living room, they saw an adult version of Shikamaru sitting down by the screen doors of the porch playing a game of shogi by himself. Shikamaru cleared his throat to gain his father's attention. Dad, this is my friend Naruko. Naruko, this is my dad Shikaku, the head of the Nara clan, he tells her, gesturing for her to say hello. Naruto looked a little shy and hid mostly behind Shikamaru, giving his father a small smile and wave. Hello s. Sir. Shikaku gave Naruto a blank stare, reading her posture, and decided to ease the girl's nerves, knowing she was worried about this meeting. He gave her a small smile, hoping to ease her fears. So you're the girl my boy's been talking about these past few months. I got to say, you must be really special to make my lazy-ass son want to get up every day and go outside, he teased, enjoying seeing how embarrassed they both got. Dad, stop embarrassing me in front of Blue Eyes, will ya? Man, you're just as troublesome as Mom sometimes, Shikamaru tells him with a little pink tinting his checks. Hey, who are you calling troublesome, young man? Came the female voice. Surprised by the sudden shout, Naruto turned around to see a woman wearing a cooking apron looking at Shikamaru with an annoyed expression on her pretty face. She must be Shika's mom. She's really pretty. Shikamaru sighed, not wanting to argue with his mom. No one, mom. Mom, this is my friend Naruto, and Naruto, this is my mom. Shikamaru's mom gave a startled gasp as she looked Naruto over. Oh goodness, Shikamaru, you never told me your friend would be. When Shikamaru's mom stopped talking, Naruto thought she was going to call her the demon brat or monster, but again was surprised when out of nowhere his mother tackled her into a bear hug. So cute. She screamed, crushing the startled blonde into a massive and loving bear hug. Naruto blinked in wonderment at the woman's compliment. I'm cute? Only my family ever told me that before, she thought happily. Shikamaru saw the happy smile on Naruto's face and was happy she was getting used to his parents. Okay mom, that's enough, you might scare her away with all your hugging. Naruto shook head, not wanting to be let go yet. She liked being held by another woman beside her grandma and sister. It's fine Shika, I don't mind, she tells him. Shikamaru gave her a small shrug, glad she was having fun. If you say so. Just don't blame me when she squeezes you to death, Blue Eyes, because I warned you, he tells her, tasking a seat across the shogi board from his father. Ah, how cute, Tilda, they have nicknames for each other. Don't you think that's adorable, dear? Commented Shikamaru's mom, cuddling Naruto's cheek. Yes Yoshino, it is very cute, Shikaku said to please his wife as he focused on his game. Not only are you adorable, but you have such long and shiny hair, but why would you keep it in your face? It'll hide that pretty face of yours. Come here dear, let me fix that for you, Yoshino says, taking Naruto to sit on the front porch, grabbing her brush as she went. Sitting Naruto down in front of her, she starts to brush the long blonde hair, ridding it of any tangles before putting it up into twin pigtails that flow down past her shoulder blades. There, now everyone can see that beautiful face of yours. Boys, what do you guys think about her new hairstyle? Yoshino asked, turning to face her husband and son. It looks good dear, Shikaku says, giving his wife an approving nod and Naruto a warm smile. Shikamaru looked up at Naruto, approving of her new look. I like it. It shows off your eyes more. You really think so, Shika? She asked with a little blush on her face. Most diffidently, he tells her while smiling his one-of-a-kind smile that's just for her. So cute, Yoshino screamed, crushing her into another hug as she cuddled her face again. Dear, shouldn't you be finishing dinner? Shikaku asked. Oh yes, of course. Now you two be nice to our guest while I get dinner finished, Yoshino says as she goes back into the kitchen to finish dinner. Feeling bored now that Yoshino wasn't there to cuddle her, she crawled over to the shogi board to watch the two males play each other. So Naruto, tell me, do you plan on entering the academy someday? Shikaku asked. Yes sir, I plan on entering after my 7th birthday, she tells him. Good. Shikamaru is going to the academy after his 7th birthday too, Shikaku stated. Come to think of it, his birthday is this upcoming Saturday. Naruto looked a little surprised by that bit of information. You didn't tell me your birthday was coming up, she said, looking towards her pineapple-headed best friend. Must have slipped my mind. I think birthdays are too troublesome to deal with, Shikamaru tells her, moving one of his pieces on the board. Wait, didn't say you were already in the academy? Naruto asked. No, I said I went to school. It's like a beginner's guide to academy life, he tells her. Oh, so when do you officially start at the academy? Naruto asked, watching Shikaku make his move. Since my birthday is next Saturday, then I should start that following Monday. Aw man, it's going to be such a drag. You won't be there and there won't be anyone there I know besides Sasuke and Ino, and they're both annoying, he tells her, feeling guilty about leaving her alone. That reminds me, I invited some of my friends to come over to the party and they're going to bring their kids, so you can meet them before the semester starts. You might actually make some other friends besides Naruto, Shikaku informed. That sounds great Shika, we might actually make some more friends for us to hang out with, Naruto said excitedly. Shikamaru looked doubtful about this plan. I don't know about that. You won't be at school with me, so what are you supposed to do all day without me? He asked. I'll go back to helping Grandpa out in the office until you get out of the academy to play with you, she tells him. Okay, that's fine and all, but what about the villagers, won't they attack you like before? He asked, concerned about her well-being. Don't worry about me Shika, I'll be fine. I escaped from them before, I can do it again. Besides, if they do attack me I'll heal really fast and then get them back by playing some of my pranks I've been working on them, so you won't have to worry, Naruto said, giving him a little smile to calm his fears. Shikamaru scowled, hating how Naruto always put herself down like she deserves to be treated the way she is. That's not okay, Blue Eyes. I don't like how those jerks treat you. No one has the right to treat you like you're not human. I swear everyone in this village is a complete idiot sometimes, he said with an angry frown on his face. Naruto felt warm inside by the way Shikamaru always stood up for her. Reaching over, she gave him a hug to show her thanks. Thank you for your concern, Shika. You're a really good friend, but I promise I'll be really careful so you won't have to worry about me. Don't forget I have siblings to watch over me, so no need to worry, and before you know it I'll be in the academy with you, she tells him with her heart-melting smile that was brighter than the sun. Shikamaru blushed again at being hugged by her, but once again let it slide as he pulled her into a stronger hug. Oh God, I'm already dreading the day. Naruto giggled and stuck her tongue out at him playfully manner, completely oblivious to the knowing looks on Shikaku and Yoshino's faces as they watched the adorable scene between them. Yoshino cleared her throat, getting the kids out of their moment. Okay guys, dinner's ready. I hope you don't mind fish, rice and miso soup for diner, Naruto. Not at all. It sounds delicious and it smells delicious too, Naruto tells her, walking into the dining room sitting next to Shikamaru. Thank you both for having me over diner, she said, practicing the good manners Iruka-sensei taught her. You're welcome dear, eat up, I made plenty for everyone to get 2 helpings if you like, Yoshino tells them as she sets the food on the table and settles down next to Shikaku. After the food was set and everyone's plate was fixed, they said grace. After saying the grace, they began to eat while carrying on some light conversations with each other. When dinner was over, Naruto helped Yoshino clear away the dishes and helped her clean them while Shikamaru and Shikaku played another game of shogi. When Yoshino and Naruto were done with the dishes, they went into the living room to watch Shikamaru and Shikaku play shogi. The game lasted for over 2 hours. Naruto was in slight shock at how long the game took, and if she was honest, she was lost after the first 5 minutes. How can you guys play that long without getting a headache? She asked, rubbing her head hoping to relieve her own headache. Yoshino gave her an amused smile while gently patting her head. I know dear, I sometimes get a headache myself, but those two focus on one thing so they don't get headaches. You see, they focus of strategy, which makes it easier for them to play longer because they're coming up with new ways to outmaneuver each other, she explained. Naruto shook her head. I couldn't do that even if I tried. My head would hurt too much if I tried to do something like that, she said, making the 2 adults laugh thinking she was joking. Shikamaru gave his parents a deadpan stare. She's not joking, you know. She's tried, it ended horribly for her, he said, making Naruto laugh while scratching her head. Yoshino giggled again, finding Naruto and her son's antics funny. She stopped when she heard the grand clock chime. Looks like it's time for bed. Naruto, you can change in the bathroom. It's the 3rd door on the right, and when you finish changing you can sleep in Shikamaru's room, which is 2 rooms down. Naruto nodded, taking in her directions before getting up to grab her bag. Thank you, Ms. Yoshino, she said before heading over to the bathroom to change into her pajamas. Once she finished changing into her orange nightgown that flowed down to her feet, she stepped out of the bathroom and approached Shikamaru's room. Walking into Shikamaru's room, she saw him already in his PJs as well. He was wearing black shorts and a comfy-looking green t-shirt with his hair down as well. Naruto giggles as she walks into the room. Nice pajamas, Shika. I also like your room, it's simple and plain just like you. Shikamaru eyed her pajamas, finding he liked her in a nightgown. You 2 blue eyes, and I know anything beside plain and simple would be too much of a drag to deal with. Naruto laughed, knowing that would be his answer. Giving the room another look around, she became a little confused at not finding a futon for her to sleep on. Shika. Where am I supposed to sleep? Shikamaru gave her a blank stare, shocked she had asked such a ridiculous question like that. On the bed. Where else would you sleep? Naruko became more confused and showed by tilting her head to the side. Then where will you sleep if I'm taking up the bed? Shikamaru sighed, wishing Naruko wasn't so difficult sometimes. Same place as you. The bed's big enough for the both us to sleep on, he tells her. Unless you want me to sleep on the floor. Naruko blushed a little out of embarrassment knowing about her bad sleeping habits. It's not that, it's just that I tend to move a lot when I'm sleeping and I might accidentally push you out of the bed, she said, embarrassed while scratching the back of her head. Shikamaru gave her a small smirk, now getting why she was being difficult. No worries, Blue Eyes, I'll be fine. Now get in bed before my mom comes in here nagging at us for not going to sleep, he says, patting her side of the bed. Well, if you say so, Shika, just remember I warned you, she teased, climbing into the queen-sized bed, pulling the comfy covers over her petite frame. Shikamaru turned to her and gave her a tried smile. Good night, Blue Eyes. Naruko returned the smile while letting out a small yawn. Good night, Shika. Thank you for having me over, I had fun and I really like meeting your parents, they were really nice, she tells him, giving him her best tired smile as her eyes closed. Shikamaru let another smile grace his tried face as he watched her fall asleep. Anytime, Blue Eyes. Sweet dreams, he said before the darkness as sleep took over him. Early the next morning, the sun raised above the sleeping village bring forth its bright streams of light. One stream of light pierced through Shikamaru's window and right into his sleeping face. Damn sun, why does it have to be so bright? I was having such a nice dream, Shikamaru thought, blinking up his dopey eyes as he tried to get up and stretch out his muscles. When he tried to get up, he found out he had some extra weight on his chest. Looking down his chest, he sees Naruko wrapped around his waist with her hair spread out around her. He looked at her face and she had a peaceful expression with her lips slightly parted with a little bit drool and soft breaths coming out of her mouth, and had her bangs in her face. Wow, Blue Eyes looks really nice and pretty when she's sleeping, he thought, staring at Naruko, and admired how the sun shined on her hair, making her look like an angel with a golden halo on. The feelings of someone gaze on her caused Naruko to stir. Naruko opened her eyes and yawned and blinked her eyes in confusion because she couldn't remember where she was. Looking around for a moment, trying to remember where she was, still clutching what she believed was her pillow. Just then she remembered she stayed with Shikamaru and his parents last night, and she also thought it was weird that her pillow was rising and falling. Naruko then hears a cough from above her and looks up to see Shikamaru staring at her with flushed cheeks. Morning, Shika. How you sleep? Naruko asked, rubbing the sleet out one of her eyes while yawning. I slept okay. What about you? He asked, not meeting her gaze, embarrassed by how she was cuddling his stomach. I slept fine. I like this pillow you got, it's super soft. Where ya get it from? She asked him, still cuddling with the pillow. You're not cuddling with a pillow, Blue Eyes, that's my stomach, he tells her, still flushed in the face. Naruko looks down and sees he was right and that she was indeed lying on his stomach with her arms around him still. She squeals and jumps off Shikamaru and lands on the floor. Shikamaru looks over the bed and sees Naruko on her head with her legs bent over her head. He bursts out laughing at the sight of her. This isn't funny, you jerk, now help me up, would ya? She demanded. The hell if it not, man, I wish I had a camera, this is too funny, he says through his laughter as he helped her off the floor. When she's back on her feet, she straightens out her nightgown before she punches him in the arm. Hey, what was that for? He asked, rubbing the spot she just punched. For laughing at me, she tells him, crossing her arms over her chest, pouting at him. Well, it was funny, and you would have laughed at me too if it happened to me, you know, he countered. Yeah, I guess you're right about that. Hey, let's go downstairs to see if your mom made breakfast, she suggested. Sure, come on, he says, leading the way to the dining room. Naruko and Shikamaru walked into the dining room where they saw Shikaku reading the newspaper and Yoshino making pancakes. Good morning, Ms. and Mr. Nara. Naruko greeted as she and Shikamaru walked into the dining room to take a seat at the table. Morning, you two. I'll have breakfast ready soon, so take a seat and I'll get your plates ready, Yoshino called out to them, flipping the pancake she was cooking. Naruko and Shikamaru sit in the same spot they sat in last night and waited for their food. Shikamaru laid his head on the table and tried to go back to sleep. Shika, sit up, you lazy bum. It's rude to try and sleep at the dinner table, Naruto scolded, poking at his cheek to get him up. Quit nagging me, troublesome girl. I'm still sleepy, he complained in his usual bored and tried voice, giving out a loud yawn to prove his point. Oh, you want to see troublesome? You keep that up and my next master prank will be tested on you, Buster boy. Naruto warned, knowing that'll get his attention. Okay, I'm up, see, he tells her, lifting his head off of the table. How you do that? I usually have to threaten to take shoji away for him to listen to me, Yoshino asked, walking into the room with the food. Naruto gave her a mischievous smile. Shika's afraid to be pranked by me, she declared, giggling a bit at the haunted look on Shikamaru's face. She doesn't kid around when she pranks a person. She either doses them with paint, sugar water, or sometimes if she's feeling evil she'll create this elaborate prank to get you with, he tells his parents as he shuddered at the last prank Naruto pulled on someone. That poor cat, I actually felt bad for the poor thing. It was her own fault for jumping into my ramen. You should know not to mess with my ramen because if you do you're going to pay, Naruto says evilly with a menacing gleam in her sky blue eyes. You like ramen? Shikaku asked, looking up from his paper. Is the sky blue? Naruto replies in a sarcastic voice. Who in their right mind wouldn't like ramen? It like it was sent from heaven itself. I'm telling you, I would eat it all day if Iruka-sensei would let me, but apparently I won't grow if I don't eat something beside ramen, she tells them, bitterly, sounding hurt about not getting to eat ramen all day. Minato, Kushina, she is diffidently your daughter, Shikaku thought, amused by his new discovery. Shikaku let a small chuckle out. You sound like an old friend of mine, Naruto, he tells her, still chuckling. Really, who? She asked him with her mouth full. Sorry, don't know how to write something when someone talks with their mouths full, so I hope you know what I meant to say. No talking with your mouth full. Young ladies do not talk with food in their mouths, Yoshino scolded, even though she found it adorable. Naruto swallowed the food in her mouth. Sorry about that, Ms. Yoshino. Bad habit, she confessed with a sly fox-like grin on her face as she scratched the back of her head. Yep, diffidently your daughter, Shikaku thought with another chuckle. So what do you kids have planned for today? Yoshino asked. We're going to go to the park and later we're going to visit my grandpa, Naruto tells them. That sounds like fun. Just be careful, okay, Yoshino tells them. Don't worry mom, we will, Shikamaru tells her as she and Naruto picked up the dishes to wash them. Naruko-chan, you know you don't have to help me if you don't to, Yoshino tells her. I know, but I like helping with the chores. It feels normal to me, she tells her, giving her a smile, bringing her stack of dishes to the sink. Yoshino gave her a small smile as she too placed her dishes in the sink and began to wash them while Naruto dried and put them away, asking every once in a while where they went. Soon the two of them finished the dishes and Naruto headed to the bathroom to get ready for the day. She starts off by brushing her teeth, and then she brushes the tangles out of her long blonde hair. She puts her hair up in pigtails like Yoshino did last night, but leaves a piece of her bangs out to go over her left eye. She then puts her clothes on. She wears a light baby blue colored shirt and black shorts with the standard blue shinobi sandals her grandfather bought her. Naruto looked herself over in the mirror and saw her ever so present whisker marks on her tan cheeks, but even thought she could see them clearly now. She smiled brightly, happy with her appearance. When she was finished she left the bathroom and went back to Shikamaru's room, seeing him and ready to go while laying on the bed staring out the window. You ready to go, Shika? She asked from his doorframe. Shikamaru glanced back at her, giving a small nod. Ready as I'll ever be, he said, walking over to her after he finished stretching. Naruto giggled at him and together they walked back into the living room to bid his parents goodbye before leaving. Together they walked to the park in silence, ignoring the villagers that were giving Naruto hateful glares when they walked by. Shikamaru gritted his teeth as he watched every adult they passed say something cruel about Naruto behind her back. I really hate how these jerks treat you, Blue Eyes, he said, growling underneath his breath. Just ignore them, Shika. By now I think I've developed an immunity to their hatred. It doesn't bother me anymore, Naruto tells him, faking a smile so he wouldn't worry about her. Shikamaru sighed angrily, hating when Naruto tried to hide her pain away. He wants her to open up to him, not close him out. Blue Eyes, no matter how strong you are, I know it bothers you, so please don't try and lie to me about how you feel, he says, looking into her eyes with a serious expression on his face. Naruko felt herself feeling that warm happy sensation again as she gazed into Shikamaru's brown eyes, glad he was her friend. "Alright Shika, I won't hide from you, but really there's nothing we can do about it," she tells him. Shikamaru gave her a pleased smile, glad she was starting to come around. "I know, but I like to find out why they hate you so much. You've never done anything wrong to make them hate you, and if they keep glaring at you I'm going to kick their freaking asses in a damn minute," he vows, glaring at the villagers with his best death glare, close to reaching his boiling point with these people. Naruko gave a heartfelt laugh at how irritated Shikamaru was getting. "Ah, the lazy bum is actually going to do manual labor to defend me. I'm so touched," she teased, faking a sniffle, grinning at him. Shikamaru crossed his arm, looking slightly offended. "Hey, I may be lazy, but that doesn't mean I'll put up with assholes picking on my friend," he tells her with a somewhat passionate voice. Naruko's grin turned soft as she grabbed his hand. "Thank you Shikamaru. These past few months have been the happiest times of my life, and it's thanks to you. I'm glad we're friends," she tells him, turning her grin into her biggest and brightest smile. Shikamaru flushed a little under that smile and gave her one of his own as he tightened his grip on her hand. "No problem," he says softly, pulling her along to continue their way to the park. The duo finally made it to the park, only to find that a bunch of kids in a circle talking to each other while others were yelling. "Hey Shika, want to go see what that's about?" Naruko asked. "I don't think so. It looks too troublesome for us to get involved with," Shikamaru said, only to be ignored as Naruko tugged over to the crowd. "Come on lazy ass, let's go. It looks like it'll be fun," she said, giving him her fox-like grin. She tried to get them to the front, but it was no use because the crowd was too packed for them to squeeze through. Naruko ducked down since she was able to see through the gasps to see that two kids around Shikamaru's age in the center of the crowd. One boy had raven hair with cold onyx eyes and the other boy had light brown hair. The brown-haired boy was a little chubby and had red swirls on each of his cheeks, indicating he was from the Akamichi clan. Naruko wondered what the boys were doing to cause this many kids to crowd around them. Just then the raven-haired boy said something and got Naruko's full attention. "So Fatso, are you going to apologize or not?" the raven-haired boy demanded. "For what? It was accident. I didn't mean to bump into you," the brown-haired boy said. "You still need to apologize to me Fatso, you touched me with your fat self," the raven-haired boy stated. Naruko blood started to boil at how that jerk kept talking to the brown-haired boy. What right did that boy have to demand someone to apologize for an accident? This sort of reminded her of how the villagers treated her. That jackass is asking for a beating. Why won't someone take up for the big guy? Naruko thought as she clenched her fists together. "Say you're sorry Fatso before I beat the fat off of you," said the raven-haired boy as he took a step closer to the chubby boy, ready to punch him in his rounded belly. The raven-haired boy was about to strike the boy when Naruko jumped in and blocked the attack by getting hit instead. The crowd was shocked that Naruko jumped in the middle of a fight that had nothing to do with her. The only one who wasn't shocked was Shikamaru. He was just mad that someone dared to lay a hand on Naruko. "Hey jackass, what right do you have to pick on him? He said it was an accident, so leave him alone," Naruko growled, looking straight at the boy who punched her. The crowd gasped at Naruko's boldness. No one's ever talked to the Raven boy like that and got away with it. Naruko couldn't see what was so great about this boy. To her he was just another bully who needed to get his ass kicked. "Who the hell are you to talk to me like that?" the raven-haired boy growled, glaring furiously at her. "I believe I'm talking to a jackass who doesn't know how to treat people and has a 50-foot pole stuck up his ass," Naruko replied, giving the boy one of her own glares. "You better shut up. You have no idea who you're dealing with, Dobi," the raven-haired boy said through clenched teeth. "Go ahead and try it, you stupid emo teme," Naruko countered, giving him the bring it on pose. The boy roared and charged at Naruko with his fist drawn back, ready to swing at her, but Naruko saw that coming and dodged the attack. The boy kept swinging at her, but she kept dodging. The boy grew tired and started wobbling due to exhaustion. "Hey, where'd all your smack talk you were spewing go? Don't tell me you're tried. I haven't even thrown a punch yet," Naruko said without a scratch on her. "Shut the hell up and stand still already," shouted the pissed-off boy. "Ah, is the big badass bully frustrated? I'm sorry. Hey, maybe the next time you think you're better than someone you'll think twice about it," Naruko mocked, knowing she was getting under the boy's skin. The boy got so pissed he charged at her blindly and tried to hit her again, but Naruko just dodged to the left and the boy tripped and fell to the ground hard. The crowd of onlookers laughed at the boy except some of his fangirls who stared at the girl with hatred in their eyes. While Shikamaru stood to the side watching the fight, smirking proudly at how well Naruko was handling this situation. "You're too blinded by your rage to concentrate on your moves that I can see right through them. Listen, you can't beat me and you know that, so you can keep trying to hit me, but you won't, so just walk away before you face any more humiliation," Naruko tells him, standing tall and proud with her arms crossed over her chest. "How dare you hurt Sasuke-kun, you evil bitch," screeched a banshee-like voice from inside the crowd. A pink-haired girl with a red hair bow in her hair with a giant forehead pushed her way to the front and glared at Naruko as she went to help Sasuke off of the ground. "It's not Naruko's fault your precious Sasuke lost to her, so I suggest you leave her alone, Sakura," Shikamaru said, walking through the crowd to stand next to Naruko. "Shika, you know these two?" Naruko asked, pointing towards the downed duo. "Yay, that's Sakura Hirano, one of Sasuke's millions of fangirls, and the douchebag you just humiliated is Sasuke Uchiha," Shikamaru tells her. "So that's the brooding prick you told me about. I take back what I said before, he really is as bad as you said he was," she told him. "Told you so, but it was funny to watch you put him in his place like that," he tells her. A small shuffle sounded behind them, getting their attention. Turning around, they saw the Akamichi boy standing behind them. Thank you for standing up for me," said the brown-haired boy with a blush on his face. "No problem. It was my pleasure to knock that jerk down a peg or two," Naruko said, smiling at him. "I'm Choji, by the way, it's nice to meet you," Choji said, pausing, hoping to get their names. "Naruko, and it's nice to meet you too, Choji. This is my best friend Shikamaru," Naruko tells him, pointing to the lazy-looking boy. "Yeah, nice to meet you. I think we've seen each other at school," Shikamaru tells him. "Yeah, we have, but really thank you for sticking up for me. I'm sorry you got punched because of me," he says to Naruko. "Hey, no problem, I didn't mind. It didn't even hurt," she proclaims. "You know, you're so cool. You stood up to Sasuke, the coolest and most popular kid in school," Choji said, admiring the blonde-haired girl, making her blush. It was nothing, I just wanted him to learn not to pick on others." "It's just not right," Naruko tells him. Would you guys mind if I hung out with you?" Choji asked. Naruko smiled happily at the prospect of making a new friend. "Nope, I don't mind at all," she says, giving him a sincere smile. "Do you, Shika?" Shikamaru saw how Naruko's face lit up and admitted he could never deny her anything when she looked that happy. "Nah, it's cool with me. Yay, Tilda, that means you can come with me and Shika to visit my grandpa," Naruko said, excitedly taking off toward the Hokage Tower, leaving the males of the group behind. "Damn, she's as troublesome as ever," Shikamaru muttered, following after her at his usual pace, though keeping his sharp eyes on her to make sure no one messed with her. "So is she always that hyper?" Choji asked, following Shikamaru. "You have no idea. Sometimes it's a drag being around her, but you get used to it after a while," Shikamaru explained. Choji laughed at that. "I like her. She's really nice. Many people don't stick up for strangers, but she did, and I think that's cool. I wonder if she would mind being my friend?" he wondered. Don't worry, you already are," Shikamaru tells him. "How do you know that?" Choji asked him. "She always takes her friends to visit her grandfather. I should know, she did the same thing with me when we became friends," Shikamaru tells him. "Who is her grandfather?" Choji asked. "You'll find out when we get there," Shikamaru said, hiding the smirk on his face. The two boys finally caught up to the blonde-haired girl who waited for them at the front of the tower entrance. "Man, you two are so slow. I could have already gone up to see Grandpa and be back by the time you guys got her," Naruko complained to them. "We're not slow, you're just too fast, Blue Eyes," Shikamaru countered, poking her forehead affectionately. "Whatever you say, Shika. Come on, we can't leave Grandpa waiting," Naruko said, walking into the Hokage Tower. Once inside, the trio passed by Cat and Dog, who were standing in the manhole waiting for their orders. "Hi, Nei-chan, Oni-chan. What are you two doing?" Naruko asked, hugging her siblings. Yugo smiled, picking Naruko up, hugging the girl tightly. "We're waiting for our mission assignment. What about you guys, and who's your new friend?" she asked. "That's Choji. I just saved him from a bully," Naruko tells her. At the mention of a bully, Kakashi noticed a large fist print on Naruto's left cheek which made him scowl under his mask. "Is that who hurt you?" he asked, going into his overprotective brother mood. "Yeah, but it's fine. I taught him a lesson. And no, I didn't hit him," Naruto tells him before he could ask the question she knew he was about to ask her. "Good girl, now go see your grandfather before he starts to worry about you," Kakashi said, petted her on the head before leaving with Yugo to begin their mission. "Who are they?" asked Choji. "My big brother and sister. They're also my Anbu guards that grandpa put on me to keep me safe," Naruto tells him. "Who's your grandfather?" Choji asked. "Don't worry, you're about to meet him," Naruto said, walking up the stairs to the third's office. Naruto knocked on the door and waited for her to be invited inside. When she heard a "come in," she went inside the room followed by Choji and Shikamaru. "Ah, Naru-chan, how are you, dear?" Hiruzen asked, filling out another document placing in on the complete pile. "I'm fine, grandpa. I just wanted you to meet my new friend Choji," Naruto said, happily pushing Choji in front of her for her grandfather to meet the boy. "You have a new friend, that's spectacular, Naruto. That makes me very happy to hear that," Hiruzen said with a smile on his face. "How did you meet your new friend?" Naruto told him what happened between her and Sasuke. Hiruzen was very upset to hear that the boy hit his little Naru-chan, but was very pleased to hear that Naruto stood up for the Akamichi boy. "Well, I'm very pleased to hear you stood up for him, but please try not to get in trouble. I get enough complaints from the villagers about your little pranks," Hiruzen says with a smile on his face. "I try my best, grandpa," she tells him with her best smile in place. "Well, how would you three about joining me for dinner tonight at my house? My oldest son is coming home and I would like you all to meet him," Hiruzen tells them. "Sure, but I have to ask my parents," Shikamaru tells him. "I have to as well, sir," Choji remarked, still a little surprised to be in the presence of the third Hokage. "Understood. You may also invite them as well. I hope to see you guys tonight," Hiruzen tells them. "Bye, Blue Eyes, see you tonight," Shikamaru said, walking out the door, ruffling her hair as he left, smirking at her pout. "Yes, see you tonight, Naruto," Choji said, walking out the office as well. Naruto waited until her friends were out of the office before turning to her grandfather. "Grandpa, what are you planning?" she asked, knowing that the old man was up to something. "You'll see, little one, you'll see," he tells her with a sly grin he picked up from his granddaughter and ex-wife. The sun was setting over the quiet village of Konoha, which meant it was almost time for dinner at the third Hokage's house. The sun was just setting in the horizon when a blood-curdling cry of terror was heard throughout Konoha. The scream came from the third Hokage's mansion, and the source of the scream came from none other than Naruto Uzumaki. This blonde-haired 6-year-old stared in horror at her beloved grandparents because they were asking her to do the unthinkable of her. Her grandparents couldn't help the giggles that escaped them at their granddaughter's horrified reaction. "GR. Grandpa, you can't be serious about this. It's just not human," screamed the frightened girl, glaring at the object in her grandmother's hands. "Of course I'm serious, Naru-chan. Tonight I expect you to act and dress like a proper young lady," Hiruzen tells her, enjoying a lot more than he would. "Dear Cammy, I really am spending too much time with these two. There ain't no way in hell I'm wearing that thing. Shika will absolutely have a field day with me if he sees me wearing that," Naruto whined, making a disgusted face at the outfit her grandmother was holding. "Now Naruto, sweetheart, I think you're blowing this whole thing out of proportion. It's not that bad," Kaide said, trying to reason with her stubborn granddaughter. Naruto gave her grandmother an "Are you serious?" look that screamed she was not happy. "That's easy for you to say, you don't have to wear that abomination around your friends." "I'm not wearing that thing, and that's final," she declared, turning away from her grandparents, sticking to her decision. Hiruzen was becoming agitated with Naruto's stubbornness and knew he had to play his trump card if he was to win this battle of wills. "Naruto Uzumaki, if you do not go upstairs right this second and put that kimono on, then I'll have no other choice but to ban ramen from the village." At Hiruzen's threat, both Naruto and Kaide gasped in horror and were left speechless. After a while, Naruto regained her composure and sent a nasty glare towards her grandfather. "You wouldn't dare," Naruto said, emphasizing each word, never wavering in her glare as she tried to call his bluff. Hiruzen countered with his own glare. "Try me," he said, giving her the "you will do as I say or you can kiss your precious ramen goodbye" look. The staring contest between them lasted for 5 minutes until Naruko sighed in defeat, knowing she would not win this fight. So she had no other choice but to submit to her grandfather's wish or risk the loss of her beloved ramen. Okay, fine, you win, Grandpa. I'll wear the stupid kimono, Naruko said, sighing in defeat as she walked by, taking the kimono from her grandmother's hands. That's my good girl. Now go get ready, our guest should be here for dinner soon and I want you to look your very best, Hiruzen said victoriously, never once losing the smirk off his face as he watched Naruko go upstairs to get ready for dinner. That was a cruel thing you to do, but I condemned you on picking up some of my old skills of negotiating, Kaide said, passing by him. I learned from the best, my dear, he said smugly. Kaide smirked at the compliment from her ex-husband. And don't you ever forget it, she teased, headed up the stairs to assist her granddaughter if needed. Hiruzen smiled fondly after her, still gleaming with pride for actually winning an argument with his stubborn granddaughter. Maybe I'll be able to win future arguments, he thought, getting lost in his thoughts when a cough brought him back to reality. You know you only won because you played the ramen card, right? Came a stoic voice from outside the window, telling what the Hokage was thinking with a hopeful gleam in his eyes. Hiruzen sighed, glaring at the Anbu captain, Naruko's older brother, for ruining his daydream. Yes, Kakashi, I'm aware of that, but it really doesn't change the fact I still beat her this time, he countered, inviting the silver-haired man inside. Did you really put this whole dinner together to force Naruko inside a kimono? You know how much she hates to wear girly clothes, Kakashi said, jumping inside the room from the windowsill. Hiruzen had a cunning smile on his face, turning away from Kakashi's analyzing gaze. I know, and that means my other surprise for her will not be happily welcomed either, he said mysteriously. Kakashi raised eyebrow at the mysterious aura around his leader. I don't like that look of yours, sir, it's kind of creepy. I also have a bad feeling this isn't going to end well for my little sister. Hiruzen decided to ignore Kakashi's paranoid questioning and change the subject. So Kakashi, how would you like to be addressed tonight around the others? He asked. I'll like to be addressed as dog still, sir. I don't want Naruko knowing my real name just yet, Kakashi tells him before putting on his Anbu mask. Very well. How were the evening patrols? Was there any trouble? Hiruzen asked, going into work mood. There were no reports of trouble on any of the borders. Our allies seem to be stable as well as our trading partners. And the villagers are still a bunch of assholes around Naruko, Kakashi reported, growling at the end of his report. Hiruzen's eyes darkened a little at the ending of the report. I'm pleased with most of your report, but at least I can't change anything about the last part just yet. Some days I feel like I could kill Minato again for putting Naruko through this, but I know he had his reasons for doing it. Kakashi nodded in agreement. I know my sensei, and I know it was a very important cause to allow his child to become the Kyuubi's host. Before the conversation could continue, the doorbell was heard ringing throughout the house, alerting the occupants of the house to a new guest. Hiruzen walked over to open the door to reveal a tall man with spiky black hair with a beard smoking a cigarette. Hiruzen smiled warmly at his guest. Welcome home, Asuma, it's been a while, he said, gesturing for him to come in. Asuma returned the smile, giving his father a hug. It'd been a long time. How have you been, Otu-san? He asked, walking with his father into the foyer where Kakashi was standing reading from his little orange book. Yo Kakashi, long time no see. Still into that smut, I see, he teased. Kakashi raised his hand in greeting, completely ignoring the other's man jab at him, continuing to read his precious book. I've been about the same since you left. Though I gained a few troubles from Naruko's constant pranking, but it's a heartwarming task when you see how proud she looks after a successful job, he admitted, glowing in happiness talking about Naruko. Asuma picked up on his father's happy mood and tried to match his smile. I'm guessing she's the little girl you talked about in your letters. Will I get to meet her tonight? He asked. Hiruzen gave him a warm chuckle. Yes, Naruko is the blonde menace I talked about, and you're not only meeting her, but her friends as well. Asuma cocked an eyebrow at that, but shrugged it off as he plopped down on the couch. Cool, can't wait to meet them. Again the doorbell was heard and Hiruzen once again went to answer the door. This time he was greeted by both Shikamaru and Choji and their parents. Welcome everyone to my home. Please follow me into the foyer while we wait for my granddaughter and her grandmother to finish getting ready, he invited, leading the two families into his family foyer. Hokage-sama, thank you very much for allowing me and my family to join you for dinner tonight. It's a real honor, sir, Choji's dad said. Hiruzen waved off the formal thanks. Choza, no need for formalities here. You're all my guest and I'm glad you all could make it, he tells him. It's a pleasure, sir. I wanted to meet this Naruto my son told me about. I want to thank her for standing up for my son against his bully, Choza said, smiling like a loon. Well, you shouldn't have to wait long. I'm sure they're almost ready by now. Hiruzen chimed, hearing footsteps coming down the stairs with familiar voices. How could you and Grandpa force me to wear this? I look like a clown. Naruto whined loudly with her voice echoing into the foyer. Hearing Naruto's voice drew everyone's attention to the entrance waiting for her and Kaide to join them inside the room. Blue Eyes sounds upset. Wonder why? Probably something troublesome, Shikamaru thought, waiting for his blue-eyed friend to make her appearance. Oh sweetheart, you're exaggerating. You look like an adorable little princess, Tilda. Kaide squealed excitedly, enjoying seeing Naruto dressed so cutely. Naruto looked horror-stricken. Oh Kami, that's worse than I thought. I have to change out of this before anyone can see me in this, especially Shika, cried the dramatic girl, heading back up the stairs only to be stopped by her grandmother. Oh no you don't, young lady. Your grandfather went through a lot of trouble to get you this kimono and you will make him very happy to see you wear it, Kaide said, playing the guilt card on her, knowing it would work. Shikamaru raised an eyebrow hearing how panicked Naruto sounded about being seen. I knew this would be troublesome, but I have to admit I'm kind of curious to see her now. Hiruzen grew nervous at seeing the perplexed glances of his guest. Haha, please excuse Naruto. She's a little upset about her outfit for this evening, he informed them. Yay, because you forced her into a kimono against her will, Kakashi muttered, though no one heard him. Naruto sighed in defeat, knowing she had no way out of this. Alright Grandma. It's just for one night, so I guess I can make it. Though I will hate every second of it, she said, continuing down the stairs. Kaide smiled in victory. Exactly, now come along, we've kept our guest waiting long enough, she said, hiding her devious smile. Reaching the bottom step, Naruto hid behind her grandmother as she walked into the room, wanting to keep herself from view. Everyone looked their way and found it amusing to see the usually trouble-making blue-eyed menace so bashful. Kaide smiled down at Naruto, gently petting her head. It's alright dear, no need to be shy, she said gently. Naruto blushed, hating herself so acting like a stupid little girl. Fine, she mumbled, gently stepping out from behind her grandma, still blushing as she fiddled with the sash of her kimono. Everyone was gaping at how beautiful Naruto looked. She was wearing a beautiful orange kimono that had a twin dragon pattern covering the bottom, with a deep blue sash tied nicely around her petite waist. Her hair was done up into a bun with her bangs covering her left eye. She had on light pink lipstick and eyeshadow. She was also wearing a sapphire necklace with matching earrings her grandfather got her. The sight of her had everyone dazed, and no one could take their eyes off of her, especially Shikamaru, who was having trouble swallowing the lump in his throat. Wow, Naruto looks beautiful, Shikamaru thought, still having trouble looking away from her. Naruto could feel everyone's eyes on her, and that made her blush darken. Can you guys stop staring at me? It's creeping me out. Shikamaru was finally able to find his voice and couldn't resist teasing his bashful friend. Not your usual choice of clothes there, Blue Eyes. Lose a bet or something? He teased, watching. It's Grandpa's fault. He threatened me into this abomination. You see, I told you guys Shika was going to pick on me, Naruto whined, pouting oh so cutely. You look so adorable, Naru-chan. Yoshino squealed, tackling Naruto into a bear hug, nearly squeezing the life out of her. Thank you, Naruto gasped out, finding it hard to breathe in the woman's tight embrace. Mom, release her, she can't breathe, Shikamaru commanded, seeing Naruto going blue in the face. Yoshino released her hug, watching the girl take in lungful breaths of air. Whoops, sorry about that dear. I can't control myself. When I see something cute I have to hug it. Or in your case squeeze it to death, thought every man in the room. Naruto, you look nice, Choji complimented, walking over to her with Shikamaru, who patted her back to help her regain her breathing. Naruto blushed at the compliment. Thanks Choji, I'm glad you and your family could make it. Choji smiled at her. No problem. Oh Naruto, I like you to meet my parents, he said, gesturing over to his smiling parents. Naruto smiled back at them. It's very nice to meet you, Mr. and Mrs. Akamichi. Oh no dear, it's very nice to meet you. I can't thank you enough for helping my son against that bully today. You have out sincere thanks, Choza tells her. It was no problem, sir. It was a pleasure of mine to teach that arrogant jackass a lesson, Naruko said, showing off her pearly whites with her foxy grin. Asuma chuckled, amused by Naruko's antic, understanding now why his father thought so fondly of the girl. Hearing the deep chuckle, Naruko looked up to see a man with spiky hair and a shaggy beard. Who are you? She asked, tilting her head at him. I'm Asuma Sarutobi. Nice to meet you, Naruko. My father told me a lot about you, Asuma said, introducing himself, offering her his hand to shake. Naruko's eyes widened with recognition. Oh, so your uncle Asuma grandpa's been telling me a lot about you. It's very nice to meet you too, she said, shaking his hand. Well, I hope he hasn't been saying anything bad about me, Asuma joked. Not really, just that you smoke a lot and chase after pretty women, but other than that he's told me about you training with the 12 Fire Temple Guardians and how you're a very hard worker, she replied, grinning at him. Asuma sent a glare at his father for calling him a skirt chaser when he was in a relationship with someone, but Hiruzen just looked on in amusement, ignoring the glare sent at him. So what has Grandpa told you about me? Naruko asked. That you're loud and mischievous, who causes him to have an extreme overload of paperwork because of people complaining about your sense of fun, he tells her, making the adults chuckle. You just got here, so you have no idea how troublesome blue eyes can get, but you'll learn in time, Shikamaru informed him with a yawn. Naruko pouted at Shikamaru not liking her pranks being classified as troublesome. That is so not true, Shika. My pranks are awesome and funny, and Grandpa's wrong, I'm not mischievous. I'm a loving and clever little girl who is sometimes hyper. Shikamaru, Hiruzen and Kakashi gave her blank stares. We beg to differ, they deadpanned together. Kaide gave the three men a quick glare before smiling at her granddaughter. Just ignore these sticks in the mud, Naruko. We all know you have a wonderful sense of life. I should you get it from me. I still regret letting you raise her. She's exactly like you in every way when you were a kid. I get over 50 complaints a day about some kind of prank Naruko's pulled. And I'm usually her victim of choice, Hiruzen said, rubbing his temple to rid himself of his growing headache. Okay, maybe I get carried away sometimes, but it's all in good fun. Also, Grandma told me the best people to prank are those closest to you, Naruko cooed, smiling innocently at her grandfather. If that's the case, I would hate to be Iruka when you're enrolled into the academy, Kakashi said, feeling bad for the unsuspecting brunette. Naruko had a very devilish grin on her face that had everybody shivering. Oh no, you would have hated being him yesterday, she said, giggling evilly. Shikamaru trembled, remembering the hell the poor man went through. Poor sensei. He really deserved that. What'd she do to him? Choji asked. Well, you see, what I had acquired a bucket filled with the rankest smelling fish guts, then with extreme caution placed said bucket on top Iruka sensei classroom door. Afterwards I lured in several ally cats to the academy. When Iruka sensei heard all the cats calling, he spilled the bucket onto himself and had all the cats chasing after him. Those cats chased around the village 3 times before they caught him, Naruko tells him, explaining out her master prank before giving into her restrained laughter. Everyone was gaping in surprise at the torture Naruko forced upon Iruka and took a couple steps back, afraid to be her next victim, except Kaide, who was crying anime tears of joy. Worst part about the aftermath is that he's terrified of cats now. Which makes his job at the mission counter harder because of the crazy cat lady, Shikamaru tells them. Naruko gave a sheepish laugh at that. Haha, yay, didn't plan on that happening, she said, scratching the back of her neck. Asuma decided a change in subject was in order, so he asked another question. So Naruko, you said my father blackmailed you into this beautiful kimono. Care to elaborate how he did that? Naruko's face turned into a pout as she faced her grandpa, still mad at him. He said if I didn't wear this stupid thing he would ban ramen from the village. You monster, screamed the Akamichi family, standing guard with Naruko joining her side against their evil Hokage. Hiruzen was baffled by the sudden turn of event, thinking he was preparing for a battle. Well, you were being stubborn, I had no choice, he said, trying to defend himself. Naruko smirked proudly at having back up. See, I told y'all it wasn't nice to threaten ramen, she said smugly. Knowing he has lost this battle, Hiruzen decided it was best to change the subject before the argument really does lead to battle. I concede defeat, so why don't we all head to the dining room for dinner, he said, leading everyone to the dining room. Hiruzen sat at the head of the table, followed by Kakashi and Asuma sitting on his sides. The adults sat on Kakashi's side of the table while the kids sat on Asuma's side. Once seated, Asuma decided to strike up another conversation with Naruto. "So Naruto, what plans do you have for yourself once you start in the academy?" he asked, taking a bite of his food. Naruto pondered the question as she took a bite of her meal. "Well, right now Grandma's teaching me some things about medical ninjutsu and medicine." "Does that mean you're planning on becoming a medical ninja like Kaide-sama?" he asked. "Not exactly. My dream is to become the first female Hokage. I'm going to become the greatest Hokage ever, so everyone will stop treating like a nobody and finally be accepted by them," she said, smiling brightly, missing the looks of pity on everyone's face. "That's an excellent dream, Naruto. I know you'll get it if you keep up that kind of spirit and determination. Just remember, being Hokage isn't going to be easy," he teased, petting her head affectionately. Naruto giggled at the affectionate petting, shaking his hand off. "Yeah, I know it's going to be tough, but I can manage it. Believe it," she cheered. Yay, the catchphrase appears again. 3. Hearing the girl's catchphrase makes all the adults laugh, seeing as it's the same one her grandmother passed down to her mother. Shikaku chuckled fondly. "You raised her well, Kaide-sama. She takes after you a lot. She makes me so proud. Sometimes it's like looking in a mirror of my youth," Kaide said, crying anime tears. "Oh Kami, she'll be the death of us all then," Hiruzen groaned, imaging Naruto in her teen years, making him shiver in dread. "We're doomed." Naruto pouted, not liking her grandfather's lack of faith of her. "Grandpa, you're overreacting. I'm not as bad as you make me out to be," she whined. Hiruzen gave her an "who are you trying to convince" look. "Really now? Do I need to go get Iruka and see what his opinion of you is?" he asked. "That poor man is going to have his hands full with trying to teach you and keep you under control," Kakashi commented, feeling bad for the poor Chunin. "Oh Ni-chan, you worry too much. I'll be fine since Choji and Shikamaru will be there to help with my pranks and escapes," she said happily. "What makes you believe I'm going to help you with your troublesome pranks?" Shikamaru asked. "Oh Shika, you know you'll help me, especially if my target is the Imoteme," Naruto stated confidently. Choji smiled. "If you're pranking him, you have my full support." Shikamaru gave his own little smirk. "That doesn't sound too troublesome to me." Asuma liked the devious attitude of the three friends, but was a little lost. "Who's the Imoteme?" he asked. "Sasuke Uchiha." Hiruzen, who was sitting back to the conversation, decided it was time for his announcement. "Yes, about him. Naruto, there's something your grandmother and me needed to tell you." Naruto looked a little worried by the tone of his voice. "Why do I have the feeling this is going to be something I'm not going to like?" "Well, the reason I asked everyone to dinner tonight was to discuss and figure out this Sasuke problem," he confessed. "What's to discuss? The guy's a jerk who thinks he's the best thing to happen to the village," she huffed. "Well, I figured you would have to get along eventually with one another, so I asked your grandmother if she could sign you up for his mother class for aspiring young ladies," Hiruzen tells her. Naruto paled at the news. "What do I have to do?" she asked, dreading the answer. "In her class you will learn proper manners for a girl along while taking dance and singing lessons," Kaide informed, feeling bad for her granddaughter. "You have got to be kidding me. Is that why you put me in this kimono, to get me ready for the hell I would have to endure?" she cried, knowing she was going to hate the answer. "Yep. There's also one more thing you're going to need to know, is you're going to have to stay at this house for a week." Kaide said the last part really fast, hoping Naruto didn't hear her exact words, but failed, cursing her granddaughter for having oversensitive ears. "Crazy grandma, say what?" she asked, feeling her left eye twitch uncomfortably. Kaide gave a loud sigh, hating to do this to Naruto, but knew she needed to do this. "You have to stay at the Uchiha estate for the week of the class. It's just so you get along better with Sasuke," she tells her. Shikamaru felt really uncomfortable with this arrangement. "I don't mean to be rude, but are you crazy? There's no way Blue Eyes is going to survive a week with that troublesome guy." Choji was nodding in agreement with Shikamaru. "Yay, he could try and hurt Naruto for making a fool out of him," he said, worried about Naruto's well-being. "That's why I asked you two here. I thought maybe you two could go stay with her, so she wouldn't have be there alone with him," Hiruzen said. "If that's the case, then can I stay with them?" Shikamaru asked, looking at his parents for their permission. "It's fine with me," Shikaku stated. "I'm fine with it too," agreed Yoshino. Shikamaru smiled gratefully at his parents. "Thanks. Can I stay as well?" Choji asked. Go ahead son, I'm fine with it, Choza said laughing good-heartedly. If it's okay with your father then it's okay with me, said Choji's mom. Thank you, Choji said smiling brightly at them. Naruko was beaming so happily she tackled both her friends into a huge hug. You two are the best friends a girl could ask for, she cheered happily giving both boys a kiss on their cheeks. Shikamaru and Choji's cheeks burst into color blushing madly at getting a kiss from Naruko. Troublesome girl, Shikamaru groaned trying hard to regain his normal color and move out her vice grip. Ah how adorable, Yoshino cooed whipping out a camera from her purse taking a picture of the three friends. Mom, quit embarrassing me, Shikamaru whined blushing again making Naruko giggle at him. Sorry can't help myself, she said sheepishly cuddling her camera. Thanks again you guys. Sorry you have to be stuck in a house with the Teme for a week, she said feeling bad for her friends even though she was happy they would be with her. It's okay Naruko, and maybe if we're lucky Sasuke might actually be nice to us, Choji said hopefully. That'd be a cold day in hell when that happens or the day I'm willing to wear a skirt, Naruko said looking absolutely disgusted with the idea of wearing a skirt. Now that's something I wouldn't mind seeing, Shikamaru thought. Shikamaru it's time to go. Thank you again Hokage-sama for having us over, Shikaku said thanking the Hiruzen. It was no problem. I enjoyed having everyone over for dinner, he says smiling thankfully to his guest. Likewise Hokage-sama. It was a pleasure to meet Choji's new friends, Choza said shaking the Hokage's hand. After saying goodbye Shikamaru and Choji left with their parents. Well I think it's time for us to go home as well, Kaide announced getting ready to leave not before giving Hiruzen a good night kiss on the cheek. Hiruzen smiled and walked her to the door with Kakashi right behind them. Naruko giggled at her grandparents as she hopped down from the table. Okay grandma, Uncle Asuma it was nice meeting you. Maybe we can hang out sometime, she said giving him a hug goodnight. Likewise my little Haim, he said wrapping the little girl in a bear hug. Naruko giggled again, nice nickname Smokey. You too. I'll see you around okay, he said taking her over to Kaide and Kakashi before watching the three of them leave with his father beside him. Tonight was very enjoyable. Did you enjoy yourself Asuma? He asked. Asuma got a cigarette out of his pocket and lit it before answering. Yeah it was a great dinner and I got to meet old friends and meet my future students, he said taking a drag of his cigarette. Hiruzen gave a small chuckle. Almost right, you meet two of them. Naruko won't be on your team. Ah you mean I don't get Trainheim, Asuma whined wanting his new little Haim to be on his team. Afraid not, I promised Naruko to Kakashi when she graduated, he tells him. Asuma pouted a little more before blowing out a poof of smoke. Well, at least she'll have a great sensei. So old man did you enjoy yourself tonight? Hiruzen smiled warmly. Indeed I did. I never seen Naruko this happy before and it made my heart swell that she can find small pieces of happiness instead of eternal sadness. She's a good kid and someday the people of this village will see it too, Asuma declared walking upstairs. So no worries Otto-san it'll work out for her in the end. Hiruzen pondered his sons for a while wondering if he was right before smiling softly. I believe you might just be right Asuma, he chuckled as he turned in for the night. Kaide and Naruko are walking down the street heading towards the Uchiha estate. Naruko was a very pissed off little girl at the moment. Want to know why? It would seem our little troublemaker was forced to wear another kimono, to impress her caretakers for the week. Naruko was growling and softly cursing to herself as she walked with her grandmother. I hate every minute of this I hope you know that. Naruko dear I know you hate wearing kimonos or anything remotely girly and I know you really hate the fact we're sending you to the Uchiha Manor, but you know you could have a nice time, Kaide said in a spectacle voice hoping to lighten her granddaughter's mood. Naruko gave her grandmother a weird look that said, are you serious? Kaide deflated knowing her attempt to lighten the mood was a total bust. Okay you're right, but just try your best and be nice to Sasuke just for me and your grandfather's sake please, she begged. Naruko sighed knowing her grandmother was only doing this for her benefit. I'll try my hardest grandma, but I'm making no promises, she said sincerely. God did I have to wear this thing it's so uncomfortable, she complained tugging on the kimono. Kaide smiled happy her granddaughter was going to try to behave before giggling at her pouting face. You just have to wear it to make a good first impression then you can take it off. I got that part. The part one don't get is why it has to be pink the girlish color ever, Naruko whined, disgusted with the color choice and design. Seriously, it has bunnies on it. Kaide smiled sheepishly at her. Ahaha, sorry about that, dearie. This was Iruka's way of getting you back for the cat prank you pulled on him. Naruko left eye twitched before an ominous aura surrounded her. He'll pay for this, mark my words, he will pay, she said, darkly plotting her revenge with a disturbing smirk on her face. Kaide shivered, only ever seeing that face on Kushina's when she was plotting something. Great, she's inherited her evil mind as well. I'm so proud, she thought gleefully while also feeling very sorry for Iruka. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX some important paperwork. Why do I feel like Naruto has another prank planned for me and I have the sudden urge to fear for my life? He asked to no one in particular as he slowly hid under his desk to continue working. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXX. Try not to make it too bad. Remember to save your best material for when you start at the academy, Kaide giggled, proud of her little troublemaker. Naruto put on her playful smirk as she giggled with her grandmother. No need to worry, Grandma, I have some of my best pranks saved up for the academy. Kaide whipped away a small tear from her eye. I'm so proud of you, my little troublemaker. You've taken my place as the master of troublemaking. Naruto smiled, hugging her grandmother. Ah, Grandma, don't worry, you'll always be the best prankster and troublemaker to me. Kaide smiled and hugged her back. Thank you, little one, but it would seem we've finally arrived, she pointed out, stopping in front of the Uchiha estate's front gate. Naruto stared up at the Uchiha main entrance and felt a cold shiver run down her spine. Thusly I enter the first day to my week of hell, she muttered, following her grandmother to the front door. Kaide knocked on the door and waited for someone to open it. A few seconds later the door was opened by Sasuke and an older-looking version of Sasuke. When Sasuke saw who was at the door, he glared at Naruto as she returned the glare back at him. Oh, it's you. I don't know why a street rat like you wants to learn how to be a lady when you know you won't be able to pull it off, Sasuke said, scornfully, glaring coldly at the blonde-haired girl that made him look like a fool the other day. I'm being forced to stay here this week against my will. So as long as you stay out of my way, I'll stay out of yours and we should get along just fine, Naruto said with a forced smile on her face, trying to somewhat act politely. That sounds perfect to me. You'll spend most of the week with my mom anyway, but then that leaves the fatso and lazy prick to bother me. The losers, he said, looking annoyed with this situation. Naruto dropped all her fake politeness as she grabbed Sasuke by his collar. Glaring harshly, she shoved her face into his, making sure they had eye contact before she spoke again. If you value your face or any part of your body, don't ever insult my friends like that again, ya arrogant teme, she hissed threateningly. Sasuke scowled angrily at her as he tried to rip her hands off his collar. Get your filthy hands off of me. I'll talk about anyone the way I want to if I feel like it, you stupid doby, he spat, trying to get out of Naruto's grasp. Kaide knew the boy deserved a punch for insulting Shikamaru and Choji, but this was not the time or the place for that. Naruto, let him go right now, she demanded sternly. Naruto gritted her teeth, knowing her grandmother's tone meant she was serious. Reluctantly she let him go by shoving him away from her. I'm sorry about my granddaughter's behavior, Itachi-kun, Kaide said, apologizing to the older version of Sasuke as she placed her hand on Naruto's head, who was having a fierce, glaring match with Sasuke. Itachi gave her a small smile. Kaide-sama, it's alright. My foolish little brother was kind of asking for it with his rude comments, so I apologize for his rudeness towards little Naruko-chan and her friends. Ni-sama, you're supposed to be on my side, not the dobies, Sasuke whined, turning his glare from Naruto towards his older brother. Itachi gave his brother an impassive stare. Sorry Sasuke, but I don't approve of your rude behavior. You were very mean to Naruko-chan and to our previous guest when they arrived, he said, scolding his little brother. Naruto perked up at the news of other guests. Are Shikamaru and Choji already here? She asked excitedly. Why yes, they arrived here a little while ago, Itachi tells her, giving her a small smile in return. Kaide saw this as her moment to say her goodbyes. Naruko dear, I'm heading over to the hospital now. Be a good girl for them and I'll see you Sunday, she said, giving Naruto a kiss on the head and a hug before leaving. Bye Grandma. I love you, have a good day at work, Naruto said, waving goodbye to her grandmother. Itachi smiled at the loving moment between the grandmother and granddaughter. Naruko-chan, would you like to come inside now to put your things away? After we settle into one of the guest room we prepared for your arrival, we can head over to the front room where your friends and Ka-san are waiting. Thank you, Itachi-kun. I would like that very much, she tells him, following the eldest Uchiha brother into the household, gliding past Sasuke, not bothering to give him her attention as she walked inside. Itachi led Naruko down one of the many hallways located inside the manor, stopping outside one of the guest rooms they had prepared for the little girl. This is where you will be your room for the week, Naruko-chan, he tells her, placing her stuff inside the nice room before he walked back into the hall to give Naruko a small tour of the compound, so she would know where to go without getting lost. When Itachi finished giving his tour, he showed Naruko into the living room where she saw Shikamaru and Choji sitting on the couch talking to each other. The boys paused their conversation when their blonde-haired friend entered the room, both surprised to see her wearing a cute pink kimono with white bunnies etched into the silky fabric. Hey blue eyes, Shikamaru said, grinning at Naruko, patting the spot between Choji and him, inviting her to sit down with them. Naruko grinned widely, happy to see both her friend were here as she sat between them. Hey guys, I'm so glad you came, she tells them. Nice to see you too, I like your new kimono, Naruko. You look really cute in it, Choji said, making his blonde-haired friend blush, which in turn made him laugh a little. He's right, blue eyes, you do look cut, but that's twice now I've seen you wearing a kimono. Don't tell me you're becoming a girly girl on me, Shikamaru teased, enjoying making her turn a darker shade of red. You wish, Naruko replied, punching Shikamaru in his arm as she tried to fight back the coloring in her face to go back to normal. Ow, you may be a girl, but you have the strength of a boy. What a drag, he mumbled, making his friends laugh at him. Of course I do. I'm not a fragile little girl who can't take care of herself, Yano, Naruko giggled, glad the color in her face was back to normal. Then why don't protect yourself from the villagers, Shikamaru thought, giving her an inquisitive look before going back to his lazy and natural look. Well, little lady, it seems we'll need to bring out your gentler female side now, doesn't it? Asked a gentle and elegant voice. The owner of the elegant voice was a woman in her early 30s you saw as she walked into the front room, followed by a man that resembled both Itachi and Sasuke. Hello there, Naruko-chan, I'm Makoto Uchiha, your etiquette teacher. I'll be teaching you how young ladies are supposed to act in public over the week. I hope my lesson will not be too much for you and that you find them enjoyable, Makoto said, sweetly smiling at the little girl, hoping to ease her tension away. Naruko gave Makoto a small smile, liking how sweet she was. She reminded her of how her grandma is when she gets nervous. Thank you, Makoto-san. Makoto-san, if you don't mind me asking, what exactly am I going to learn this week? She asked, hoping the answer she received wasn't as bad as she thought it was going to be. Just some basic etiquette techniques. For example, today I'm going to teach you how to present yourself when you are making a formal greeting to an important guest. Makoto said, seeing the perplexed look on her new student's face. Here, I'll demonstrate for you how it's done, then you can practice what I did. Does that sound okay for you? She offered, getting a nod of confirmation from her little pupil. Makoto smiled at her before signaling her husband to walk over to the far corner of the room so the children could have a clear view of her. She then straightened out her spine, taking light and gentle steps toward her husband, maintaining a straight line until she was a few steps away from him before curtsying to him before speaking into a gentle and clear voice. Good evening, Mr. Uchiha. My name is Makoto Uchiha. It's a pleasure to meet you. Makoto recited loud enough for the children to hear, but still in a proper and elegant manner. She straightened back up, turning towards the trio, giving them a pleasant smile. See if you can do that, dear. Naruko looked uncertain about being able to pull that off, but knew she had to try. Alright, she said, sliding off the couch to walk over to where Makoto started from. Naruko straightened her spine out like Makoto had done and tried to take the gentle steps she had taken, but found herself stumbling after the first couple of steps. Sasuke, who was watching her attempt, started chuckling when she started swaying side to side. Getting a little frustrated at her horrible performance and Sasuke's chuckling, Naruko began to growl and sent glare towards him, ready to tackle him to the ground and punch him in the face. Naruko, young ladies don't glare at people, and they especially don't growl at them. And Sasuke, I've taught you better than to laugh at others. Makoto scolded the two, getting them to stop before going back to her gentle side. Try again, dear, and concentrate a little more on your footwork. Yes ma'am, Naruko said, trying to concentrate on her walking again, but was finding it difficult to fully concentrate with the emo bastard snickering at her every attempt. Shikamaru and Choji felt bad for Naruko knowing she was trying. They knew she couldn't say anything to Sasuke and knew Sasuke was enjoying her torture because Naruko really sucked at walking in a straight line. Naruko tried again, but this time ended tripping over her feet and crashed to the ground. Can I stop? I'm never going to get this, she whined. Honey, it takes practice to learn new things. Your balance is a little off, that's all. Here, maybe this will help, Makoto said, helping Naruko back to her feet before placing a good-sized book on top of her head. Now try walking with this on your head. Naruko placed her hand on top of the book to keep it steady before straightening her back and taking a step forward. The book stayed on her head for a good 5 seconds before falling to the floor with a thump. Well, that was a complete fail, she mumbled, glaring at the book. Makoto let out a small giggle, finding Naruko to be very entertaining. Remember sweetie, practice makes perfect, so let's try it again, she says, placing the book back on top her head. Naruko held the book on her head before trying again, but ended up with the same results. This process went on for about 20 minutes straight with little progress made. Makoto was being patient about this whole endeavor while Naruko was starting to get ticked off. Naruko has never been known to be a patient one, so when the book fell again off her head and hit her foot, she lost it. She picked the book up and gave a shriek of frustration, throwing the book as hard as she could out the window. At the same time, an old man was passing by. The book accidentally hit the old man in the head, rendering the poor old man unconscious. Naruko looked horrified by her accident while the other occupants were a cross between borderline hysterics or pity. Oh man, I'm so sorry sir, are you okay? Naruko cried, jumping out the window and quickly running over to the fallen man's side to find said old man laughing joyously. Oh great, I made him go senile, she wailed, feeling worse about hitting him. The old man laughed a little harder before calming his laughter to quiet chuckles, patting Naruko on the head. No worries child, I'm not senile, well not yet anyway. It's just been a long time since I got hit in the head with a book, he said humorously. Naruko felt a little relieved the old man was not mad at her or hurt until she saw his forehead bleeding where the book hit him. Oh no, you're bleeding. Here, let help you, she said, taking out a handkerchief to clean off the blood, seeing a small gash on his head. Naruko closed her eyes, placing her hands over the gash and started concentrating on her hands to send chakra into them. Her hands began to glow a light green color, gaining the attention of everyone in the room as they watched Naruko heal the old man's wound. When the gash was completely gone, Naruko took her hands away till the cut was gone, which made her smile. How does your head feel, Oji-san? She asked, making sure there wasn't any internal damage too. The old man smiled at her, patting her head again. My head is just fine now, thanks to your help child, he said, grinning at her. Naruko grinned, happy to hear that. Sorry for hitting you with the book, Oji-san. I kind of lost my temper, she said sheepishly, scratching the back of her head, making the old man grin wider as he saw a different little girl behind her with red hair doing the same gesture. No need to apologize child. If I had to take a guess, you were frustrated about not being able to walk in a straight line. Right? The old man said with a look of knowing in his eyes. How do you know that? She asked, gazing at him in wonder. Like I said before, it wasn't the first time someone hit me with a book. They had the same problem as you. But the only difference is this time I didn't provoke the attack like I did last time. I was just walking by at the wrong time is all. The old man says, smiling at Naruko. Naruko smiled back at him. You're very nice, Oji-san. I like you, she giggled, grinning at him. Why thank you. I must say you remind me a lot of this student that used to come here when she was your age, the old man tells her. Yes, I say you're every bit like her if I do say so myself. Who is she? She asked. The same girl I told you about. The girl I told you about that hit me with a book when she couldn't walk in a straight line. Sadly, I can't remember her name after so many years. I just remember how she acted and what her personality used to be like. I also remember when she first arrived here for her first lesson. She couldn't stand people trying to turn her into a little lady. She kept asking how was being a lady going to help her become Hokage someday, the old man tells her. The girl wanted to be Hokage too? Naruko asked excitedly. Why yes, she said it was her dream and nothing anyone did would stop her from achieving her dream, the old man said. Wow, I wish I knew who this girl is. Maybe I could ask her tips on becoming Hokage considering we both share the same dream, Naruto said, getting very excited about someone sharing the same dream as her and at the possibility of meeting this woman. I wish you could, child, but the sad thing about it is she died a few years ago, the old man said sadly. That's horrible. I wish I could have met her, Oji-san, Naruto said, sad about not meeting this really cool kunyachi someday. Don't be sad, child. I know she wouldn't like people being sad, especially a miniature her in the making, the old man said, brightening up once again, which made Naruto grin again. Makoto gave a small smile watching her father and Naruto talk, knowing her father saw a lot of Kushina in her. Naruto, I'm glad you're making a new friend, but you need to get back in here, practice your technique, she called from inside the house. Coming, Makoto-san, Naruto called back with a smile. So your name is Naruto. What a lovely name for such a lovely little girl, the old man said. Thanks, Oji-san. I guess I better go before Makoto-san gives me a lecture on being late, Naruto teased, liking the Uchiha woman a lot. Don't mind my daughter Naruto, she's a good teacher, just very strong in mannerism, the old man tells her. I won't, Oji-san. I really like Makoto-san, so I don't mind it, she tells him, grinning happily. Hey Oji-san, can you tell me your name? It's Shisui, but you can call me Oji-san still, the old man, now known as Shisui, tells her, grinning back at her. Okay then, well, see you around, Oji-san, Naruto said, running back inside the house through the window, leaving Shisui by himself. Naruto, you remind me so much of your mother, it's like looking in a mirror, only you has your father's hair and eyes, but boy did you gain every ounce of your mother's spirit. Kushina, if you're watching over her, I know you must be proud as well as you, Minato, and who would have thought I met your daughter the same I met mother, Shisui thought amusingly as he began walking through the flower meadow. I remembered walking by my wife's studio that day. I was going to see how she was faring with taking care of you and teaching you how to be a lady. When I got there I saw you trying your hardest to keep that book on your head, but it kept falling off, and every time you tried it just kept coming off, and when I saw how mad you were getting and your face turning so red, I couldn't help but laugh at you and your little habanero face. He thought, walking off, chuckling quietly to himself as he remembered the rest of that event. Flashback. What the hell are laughing at, old man? Kushina demanded with her young fiery red face ablaze that matched her fiery red hair as she glared at Shisui, who was leaned over the window sill laughing. You, ya two left-footed habanero-looking klutz, teased a younger-looking Shisui. Fuck you, old man, Kushina screamed, throwing a book at his head that caused Shisui to fly back and hit the ground, seeing stars. When he hit the ground, Kushina jumped out the window after him and started attacking and beating the living hell out of him. After she beat the crap out of him, did they realize how special a bond formed between them that day as they laughed at each other. End of flashback. After that day a bond was formed between us, even if we did try and kill each other every other day. I hope I can form the same kind of bond between me and your daughter Kushina, Shisui thought happily. Makoto shook her head as Naruto came back into the room through the window and was about to scold her for her unladylike conduct, but seeing the smile on her face made her let it go just this one time. Okay Naruto, let's try this again, but this time let's not throw the book at a defenseless old man, she teased, smiling at her little student, who broke out into gleeful giggles, as did a few others inside the room. Naruto started doing better and was making good distance with her steps, but she still couldn't walk the required distance. Makoto-san, am I doing something wrong? Naruto finally asked, wondering why she couldn't complete the walk. I honestly don't have a clue, dear, you're improving well, but you're still not finding a good center of balance, Makoto tells her. Shikamaru, who has been watching Naruto practice this whole time, came up with a good idea. Makoto-san, I suggest switching the book for a bowl of ramen, he tells her. Makoto looked puzzled by this bizarre suggestion, but it seemed to capture Naruto's attention a bit. Good idea, Shikamaru. Naruto would never allow herself to waste a single drop of ramen, Choji said, catching onto his friend's plan. Hey, they're right, maybe I would get it if I used ramen instead, Naruto said, dying to try anything at this point to get this stupid walk done and over with, and on the bright side she'd get to eat ramen after she was done, which made her smile bigger. Well, it's worth a try, Makoto said, going into her purse to take out some ryo. Itachi, could you go pick some up please? She asked, handing him the money. Of course, Ka-chan. I'll be back shortly, Itachi said, preparing to leave. Ooh, please get beef pork, Itachi-kun. That's my favorite kind, thought I love all ramen there is, Naruto asked, breaking into a huge grin. Will do, Naruko-chan. Be back soon. Itachi called back, smiling at the grinning blonde before leaving to pick up the meal. About 15 minutes later, Itachi returned with the ramen and gave it to Naruko, who then placed the bowl on her head. She started wobbling a bit, which made the others nervous, thinking she was going to spill it, but it took her a few seconds to steady the bowl. Once she got it settled, did she start to walk the straight line again. This time as she walked, she didn't stumble or sway and kept her head high and back straight, and the bowl didn't even wobble. Fantastic job, Naruko, you're doing great, keep it up. Makoto encouraged, happy to see the sudden change in Naruko's balance and posture, giving the Nara boy a sideways glance to see the knowing smirk on his face when Naruko finally reached the point to stop in front of her husband. He must really have a strong connection with Naruko to know her this well, she thought amusingly. Naruko smiled as she finally came to the end of the line to where she could greet Fugaku and complete her etiquette lesson of the day. Good evening, Mr. Uchiha. My name's Naruko Uzumaki. It's a pleasure to meet you, sir, Naruko said, copying Makoto's gentle and elegant tone while curtsying to Sasuke's father without having her ramen tip over. The pleasure is mine, Ms. Uzumaki, said Sasuke's dad as he kissed her hand, completing the greeting, making Naruko giggle. Excellent job, Naruko, you pulled the greeting off wonderfully. Thank you, Shikamaru-kun, for your brilliant idea, Makoto said, clapping her hands together, enthusiastically proud of Naruko's hard work. Naruko grinned sheepishly. Thank you, Makoto-san, and thanks Shika for giving us the idea of using ramen to balance me out, she giggled, watching her best friend wave off their thanks. Wasn't that hard to figure out. Knowing how troublesome you get over your ramen made it simple for me to come up with that idea, Shikamaru stated, giving out a tired yawn as he stretched out his back muscle from sitting too long. Makoto laughed at Shikamaru's explanation before turning back to Naruko. Well, Naruko, you mastered your first lesson on greeting. Tomorrow we'll work on your singing lesson. You guys enjoy your supper and I'll see you all tomorrow, she tells them before exiting the room with her husband and Itachi. Wait, did she just say singing lesson? Naruko asked, not believing what she just heard. What does singing have to do with being a lady? Sasuke let out a small bout of laughter at the horrified look on Naruko's face before scoffing at her lack of intelligence. Don't you know what courses you're going to learn from my mom? He asked. No, I wasn't informed about them, she tells him. Sasuke had an evil grin on his face at this information, thinking he would enjoy the look on her face after this. Then let me be the one to tell you. Day 1 you learn how to perform a formal greeting. Day 2 you learn how to sing. Day 3 you learn how to dance properly. Day 4 you learn how to do flower arrangements. Day 5 you learn how to perform a tea ceremony. Day 6 you learn the difference between formal gowns you wear to certain events, dinners, and on day 7 you put everything you've learned to the test in front of your friends and family, he explained, enjoying the look of distress on Naruko's face as she learned what she was in store for this week. Naruko had a horrid look on her face, completely dreading the week to continue, in fear of becoming a complete girly girl. Even Shikamaru and Choji looked terrified. Can't wait to see how you do tomorrow, Dobi. Cause if it was anything like today, I'm going to enjoy watching you make a fool of yourself, Sasuke said, walking out the living room to his room. Naruko looked to Shikamaru and Choji and said what all three of them were thinking at the exact moment. Well guys, it looks like we have entered the week of hell. I pray that we all survive, she said, getting nods from her friends as they sat at the table to enjoy their ramen before going to their rooms getting ready for tomorrow's torture. That's all for now. If you enjoy, then please like, share and do comments.